The sun god's champion burns villages alive with his 15-meter aura. 40 elite soldiers stand behind him. Tomorrow he will return for the people, and anyone who refuses will burn along with their homes. And standing in his way will be neither a mage nor a hero, but a dead American sergeant with an infantry shovel who already knows how to win. March Grant died at his desk. He was writing a report on ammunition expenditure. Column 17, .556 caliber rounds. He wrote down the number and the world went dark. His left hand went numb. His jaw clenched. It felt as if someone had sat on his ribs. And then nothing. And now, damp earth. The scent of pine needles. The cold licks his ribs beneath his uniform. He opens his eyes and sees a gray sky through the gaps between the branches. He is lying at the bottom of a ravine. Clenched in his right hand is a ballpoint pen with the Department of Defense logo. He knows he died. He doesn't suspect it, he knows. His body remembers the cardiac arrest, and now he's here, wherever this is. Marsh doesn't jump up, doesn't call for help. He counts to 30, an old habit. After an explosion, don't get up right away. First figure out where you are, then what hurts, then who's nearby. He listens. Wind from the northeast. Water murmurs to the south. Birds are singing. That's the main thing. If birds are singing, it means there's no major movement within a 200-meter radius. No people, no animals, no machinery. 30 seconds have passed. He sits down. His hip aches. The shrapnel near Kandahar has remained in place for 4 years. Tinnitus rings in his right ear. So it's his body. So they haven't switched him out. And then he notices what's lying nearby. A neat stack. Someone put this together while he was lying unconscious. A canvas tube with a hand-drawn map. Mountains. A river. A forest. A wall along the perimeter. A brass compass. A small infantry shovel. He takes it in his hand and smiles for the first time. A coil of rope. A well-balanced knife. A canteen of clean water. And 11 parchment scrolls. He unrolls the first one. The text is in a language he doesn't know. He blinks, and suddenly understands every word. Someone has implanted this language in his mind, just like the map and the shovel. Someone has equipped him, and this is where the strangest part begins. Each scroll is a dossier. Name, title, weaponry. Kyron Wolfhart, champion of the sun god, a 15-meter aura of flame, 40 elite soldiers, a fanatic, burns whatever he deems impure. Morrigan Blackwell, champion of the goddess of shadows. Appearance shifts. 1 blade, 1 goal. Archon Zane, 200 heavy infantry who feel no pain while he lives. Marsh reads all 11. 2 are already crossed out in red. They killed each other on the second day. 9 remain. And he is among them. No magic, no armor, no army. The 10th player, thrown into the meat grinder with a shovel instead of a sword. He folds the scrolls and counts. The 3 strongest will turn on each other in the first week. Ego brooks no rivals. The 2 weak ones will huddle together. The weak always huddle together. The 4 loners will bide their time, just like him. While they're cutting each other down, he'll be working. March picks up the shovel. He stands up. He climbs out of the ravine. Low ground is a grave. Any sergeant knows that. It's riddled with bullets from above. You drown in your own sweat down there. He needs high ground. He follows his compass, finds the river by the sound. Doesn't drink. He heads upstream and looks for a hill. Finds one 40 minutes later. 15 meters above the plain. A view to the south and west. A forest to the north. To the east, a ravine. Only one approach. Not ideal, but better than the mud he woke up in. He plunges the shovel into the ground and starts digging. Not a trench, just a hole for cover for now. 1.5 meters long, waist deep. so he can lie down and not be seen from above. The shovel cuts into the ground smoothly and methodically. The excavated earth piles up in a mound to the south, a parapet. And as he digs, he thinks, who sent him here? His gear is well chosen: a map, a compass, a knife, files on the enemy. This is the kit for a lone fighter behind enemy lines. Someone knew who he was. An hour later, the hole is ready. He lies down, his head below the rim. He places sod on top. In a day, the grass will sprout and the mound will become invisible. The sun is setting. He doesn't light a fire. A fire is a beacon. A fire screams to everyone around that someone is here. First Class Sergeant Marshall Grant will sleep in the cold, not for the first time. Before falling asleep, he speaks quietly into the darkness. I don't know who you are. I don't know why I'm here. But I packed my gear right. Thanks for the shovel. The darkness is silent. Dawn at 5:30. He opens his eyes a second before the first ray. 14 years in the army, and his body knows when to get up. He listens. Birds, wind, water. No one came during the night. He walks around the hill in a circle. No tracks. He takes a single sip from his canteen. The water is running out. And then the wind carries a scent. Smoke. A campfire. That means people. He creeps toward the scent. He steps from heel to toe. He avoids the dry branches. A quiet man survives in the forest. An hour later, he emerges at the edge of the forest. Before him is a field. Beyond the field are 5 houses. Thatched roofs. Poverty. By the well, a woman is drawing water. 2 children are playing behind the houses. An old man stands by the house on the edge and stares straight into the forest, straight at Marsh. But he doesn't see him. The dirty green uniform blends into the undergrowth. Marsh watches for 15 minutes. Then he steps out of the forest and raises his open palms. He doesn't smile. A smile from a stranger in a conflict zone is a threat. The old man freezes and asks who he is and what he wants. My name is Marsh. I'm looking for water and information. I can pay with my labor. The old man looks at the uniform, at the boots, at the shovel. He says there's nothing to steal here. Marsh nods. I don't need to steal. I need to know who's where and who's going where. In exchange, I'll dig up what's needed or fix what's broken. The old man is silent for a long time. Then he waves his hand. Come in. 5 houses, 17 people. The village headman is Olden. He limps on his right leg. His eyes are sharp, and he tells the story. Behind the hill to the south is a camp. 40 soldiers. Their leader wears golden armor. They arrived 3 days ago. They killed a goat, took the grain, said the village is on their lord's land and must obey. Tomorrow they'll return for the people. They need porters. Whoever refuses will burn along with their house. Marsh listens, doesn't interrupt. Then he asks 3 questions. How many soldiers? About 40. Where is the camp? Behind the hill by the stream. What does the commander look like? Young, golden hair. His armor glows, a huge sword. Chiron Wolfheart, champion of the sun god. First scroll, fanatic. An aura of flame, 15 meters. Marsh looks at the village. 5 houses, 17 people, children. He nods. I'll handle it. Alden looks at him like a drowning man looks at a log, with desperate hope and utter disbelief. And Marsh asks for 2 things. Show me where the Temple of Tiras is, and put the kettle on. The Temple of Tiras stands on the outskirts of Willowbrook. Temple is a grand word. 4 walls of gray stone, a shingle roof. The shingles are rotten. You can see the sky in 3 places. There is no door at the entrance. Instead of a door, there is a rag. Dark red, faded. Once, a symbol was embroidered on it. Now it's impossible to make out. Marsh pushes the rag aside and steps inside. Inside, it's dim. It smells of dampness and wax. There is an altar against the far wall. Stone, split in two. Someone has patched the crack with clay. There are 3 candles on the altar. 2 are extinguished. 1 is burning. A girl is kneeling before the altar. Her hair is light brown, long, braided into a plait. Her clothes are simple, a gray dress. Over it, something like a vest with a symbol, the same symbol as on the rag at the entrance. She is praying, quietly, almost silently. Marsh stands at the entrance and waits. He doesn't interrupt. After a minute, she raises her head, turns around. Her eyes are gray. Her face is gaunt, dark circles under her eyes. She hasn't slept in a long time. She looks at Marsh, at his uniform, at the shovel, at his boots, and something changes in her eyes. She has realized, not him, she has realized that he is not of this world. She stands up. Her knees are shaking, and she begins to sink back down. Not in a prayerful pose. She falls to her knees before him. Marsh takes a step forward, takes her by the elbow, lifts her up. His grip is firm but not rough. It's how you take the hand of someone you're pulling out of the water. He speaks calmly. "I'm not a prophet. I'm a sergeant. What's your name?" She blinks. She says her name is Evelyn Hale, priestess of Tiras, the last one. Marsh nods. He asks how old she is. 24. He asks how long she's been here. Her whole life. Born in the village by the temple, studied at the temple, prayed at the temple, alone. 7 parishioners. 3 of them are old men. Tiras hasn't answered prayers for 6 years. Marsh looks at the altar, at the crack, at the burning candle. He doesn't believe in gods. He didn't believe before he died. He didn't start believing afterward. But he's standing in the temple of the God who dragged him here. And this God gave him a shovel and a map. That deserves respect, at the very least. Marsh turns to Evelyn. He says he needs her help. Tomorrow at 6 in the morning, with the map. She knows the area better than he does. Every trail, every ravine, every stream. He knows nothing. She doesn't need to pray for him. She needs to work with him. Evelyn looks at him for a long time. Tears well up in her eyes. She isn't crying. The tears are just there. She nods. Marsh turns and walks out of the temple. The sun is already low. He has about 3 hours before dark. And in those 3 hours, he needs to see Chiron's camp with his own eyes. He heads south, across the field, over the hill. He moves low to the ground. He uses the contours of the terrain. Beyond the hill, a view opens up. A stream, wide, shallow. A camp on the bank of the stream. Marsh lies down on the hilltop. He lies motionless. He looks. He counts. Tents, 16, 2 or 3 in each. That's 30 to 40 people. Alden was right. In the center of the camp is a large tent. Golden fabric. A 2-handed sword is stuck in the ground in front of it. It glows. The glow is visible even from a distance of 300 meters. Chiron Wolfheart, here. Marsh lies there and watches for an hour. During that hour, he learns the following. There are 2 guards, one at the entrance to the camp from the south, one by the stream. Both are standing still. They aren't patrolling. These are poor guards. The soldiers are sitting by the campfires, drinking. Not all of them, but many. Discipline is average. 2 officers are visible. One is fat and wearing chainmail. The other is thin and carrying a staff. A mage, or similar. Chiron himself comes out of the tent once, stands for 2 minutes, watches the sunset. He's taken off his armor. Underneath is a shirt. Young, broad shoulders, moves with confidence. Used to his body, used to strength, afraid of nothing. You can tell by the way he stands, open, chest out. His arms don't cover his body. A man who has never taken a blow he didn't expect. Marsh remembers. He returns to the village. It's getting dark. Alden is waiting for him by the well. Marsh sits down next to him. He says he needs 3 things. All the fat in the village. All of it. Lard, oil, anything that burns. Alden is silent. The second thing, all the dry straw. Alden is silent. The third thing, the children in the cellar, tonight, and don't let them out until morning. Alden asks what he's going to do. Marsh says he's going to make sure that by tomorrow morning, the camp behind the hill is no longer a problem. No killings. Alden doesn't believe him, that's obvious, but he has no choice. He nods and goes to round up the village. 2 hours later, 3 buckets of fat stand at Marsh's feet. A pot of melted lard, a sack of straw. Marsh takes it all. He grabs a shovel and walks off into the night. Alone. He heads toward Chiron's camp. Not directly. He goes around from the west. The moon is in its first quarter. There's little light. Good. He gets within 200 meters of the camp. Lies down. Listens. The sentry by the stream is asleep. Sitting leaning against a tree and sleeping. Marsh shakes his head. In his platoon, this man would have been cleaning out the latrines for the rest of his service. Marsh gets to work. Quietly. Methodically. He digs a shallow trench, a hand's depth, a hand and a half wide. 5 meters long, an arc, toward the camp. Fills it with straw, pours fat over it. He covers it with the excavated soil and sod. He moves to another position, digs a second trench, then a third. In 5 hours, he digs 8 trenches. In a semicircle around the camp on the west and north sides, the eastern side, a stream. Marsh heads down to the stream upstream from the camp, about 300 meters higher. Here the stream makes a turn. The bank is low, the ground is soft. Marsh digs. 20 minutes. A channel, shallow. Enough for the main current to flow around it. The water finds a new path. Quietly and obediently, it flows off to the side. By morning, the stream near the camp will have run shallow. It won't dry up completely, but the water will be ankle-deep instead of knee-deep. It's hard to put out a fire from a puddle. The march ends before dawn. He returns to the hill, lies down, waits. The sky is gray. First light. People are waking up in the camp. Smoke from the campfires. Voices. Someone is cursing. Marsh waits for the wind to shift. The morning wind here blows from the west. He noticed that yesterday. The wind shifts. From the west. Good. Marsh heads down to the ditch farthest from the camp. The western one. He takes out the flint from the things Alden gave him. He strikes a spark. The straw, soaked in fat, flares up instantly. The fire is low, greasy, lots of smoke. The wind carries the smoke straight toward the camp. Marsh runs back up the hill. He lies down. He watches. Panic in the camp. Smoke rolls in like a wall. Soldiers jump out of their tents. They scream. They run toward the stream. The stream is shallow. There is no water. Or rather, there is, but not much. They scoop it up with their helmets. It's useless. Someone runs further along the bank, looking for a deeper spot. He doesn't find one. An officer in chainmail yells orders. No one listens to him. The mage tries to do something. He waves his hands. He puts out the fire in one ditch. But there are 8 of them, and they burn one after another, because the fat runs down the soft earth from ditch to ditch. Marsh didn't set all 8 on fire. He set one on fire. Gravity and the fat did the rest. This isn't a fire. It's a smoke screen. The flames are low. They don't reach the tents. It doesn't kill, but the smoke is thick and acrid. 40 men are coughing and running around the camp like cockroaches. Marsh lies on the hill and counts. 1, 2, 3, 13, 27, 34. 34 men. 6 more are still in the tents. Chiron comes out last, without armor, in a shirt, angry, growling something. The soldiers run toward him. He points west. They run to put out the fire. Marsh isn't looking at the fire. He's looking at the people, memorizing faces. Who runs first? Who stands and waits for orders? Who panics? Who tries to organize? 2 officers. The fat one commands loudly but to no avail. The skinny mage works silently and efficiently. The mage is dangerous. Remember that. 3 soldiers stand next to Chiron's tent and don't move. Personal guards. Disciplined. Not panicking. Remember that too. An hour and a half later, the smoke clears. The fire went out on its own. The fat burned out. The ground is black. The camp is undamaged. Not a single tent burned. Not a single person is injured. But 40 people are wet, angry, exhausted, and frightened. And they have almost no water left in the stream. Chiron stands in the middle of the camp and looks west. He doesn't understand what happened. To him, it's a forest fire. A coincidence. He doesn't know that on a hill 300 meters away, a man with a shovel is lying there, counting his men one by one. The march moves on, quietly, slowly, returning to Willowbrook. The village hasn't slept. Alden stands at the edge, waiting. Marsh approaches and says the camp is intact. No one died. But they have no water, and their spirits are broken for the next day or so. If Chiron is smart, he'll move the camp to another water source, farther from the village. If he's stupid, he'll come to seek revenge. Alden asks what if he comes to seek revenge. Marsh says he won't come. A fanatic needs an enemy with a face, and this fire has no face. Chiron won't seek revenge on a stream. Alden is silent. Then he drops to his knees. Marsh lifts the man to his feet again, the second time in 2 days. He says, "Stand up. I don't work on my knees. Put the kettle on." An hour later, Marsh is sitting outside Alden's house drinking a hot brew. Not tea. There's no tea here. Some kind of herbs. Bitter, but hot. Evelyn sits across from him. A map lies between them. Marsh points and explains. Here's the camp. Here are their guards. Here's the stream he diverted. The commander's tent is right here. The mage is here. The personal guards are here. Evelyn listens. Her eyes are wide open. She doesn't understand half of what he's saying, but she's memorizing it. Marsh sees that she's memorizing it. Good memory. That's important. He asks her a question. How many villages are there in the northern part of the valley? Evelyn thinks. She says she knows of 12, maybe more. She went around them preaching. They didn't listen to her, but she went. Marsh nods. 12 villages, 12 dots on the map, 12 places where there are people. People are eyes and ears. He asks if she has a connection to the other villages. Evelyn says there are runners, boys who run between the villages with news. The roads are dangerous, but all the local children know the forest paths. Marsh finishes his brew, sets down his mug, looks at Evelyn, says he needs a network. Every village needs to know what's happening in the next one. If anyone sees soldiers, if anyone sees strangers, if anyone sees the champion, a boy runs over here, to him. Evelyn asks why. Marsh says that information is a weapon, the cheapest and the deadliest. A sword can kill one person. Information can kill an army. Evelyn is silent. Then she says she'll help. Marsh nods. He stands up. He walks to his pit on the hill. He needs to sleep. Tomorrow the work begins. The real work. On the 3rd day, Chiron leads the camp southeast. Marsh watches from the hill. 40 men take down the tents. They load them onto carts. They leave. Chiron rides ahead on a white horse. His armor glints. His cloak is gold. Marsh stands among the trees and counts the carts. 7. 2 of them carry barrels. Water. They're heading for the distant lake. It's on the map. 12 kilometers to the southeast, far from Willowbrook. Good. Marsh returns to the village. The kettle is already boiling at Alden's. Marsh sits down and unfolds the map. Evelyn is beside him. She came at 5 in the morning, as he'd asked. She looks serious. Marsh shows her the spot on the map where the camp was. He points out the direction Chiron went. He draws an arrow with his fingernail. He says that the part of the valley is now his zone. For now. That could change. Then he points to the northern part, the 12 villages Evelyn mentioned. Marsh marks the spots. 1, 2, 6, 10, 12. Lines between them, trails, runners' routes. He asks Evelyn who's in charge, and each village is in charge. She gives him names. Marsh memorizes them. He doesn't write them down. He keeps the names in his head. It's safer that way. Paper can be found. A head is harder to find. He asks which of the village elders can be trusted. Evelyn thinks. She names 4. The rest are either cowards or would sell them out for a sack of grain. Marsh nods. 4 villages. That's a start. He tells Evelyn she needs to visit these 4 villages in 3 days, to tell the same story in each one. There's a man in Willowbrook. He drove Chiron away without bloodshed. If anyone sees foreign soldiers, they should send a boy to Willowbrook. He pays for information with salt. Evelyn asks where he gets the salt. Marsh says he doesn't have any yet, but he will. Evelyn leaves an hour later. With her is a boy of about 13, a runner. His name is Finn, fast and silent, a good combination. Marsh watches them leave. Then he grabs a shovel and goes to work. Willowbrook sits in a low-lying area. That's bad. In the spring, the water here is knee-deep. There's no drainage, mud, disease. The kids get sick with stomach aches every month. Alden told him, Marsh starts with a ditch, a drainage ditch. From the center of the village to the stream in the east, 30 centimeters deep, 40 wide, a 1.5% slope. He measured the slope with a shovel and a string with a stone, the simplest plumb line. He digs for 4 hours, alone. By lunchtime, he's dug 20 meters, another 100 to go. Alden approaches. He looks. He's silent for a long time. Then he asks why he's digging a ditch in the middle of the village. Marsh explains. The water's stagnant. Stagnant water is filth. Filth is disease. The children get sick because they drink water used for washing clothes, bathing, and flushing waste. The ditch will carry the stagnant water to the stream. The ground will dry out. The children will stop getting sick with stomach aches every month. Alden listens. His face is strange, as if he's heard something impossible. He's lived 62 years in this village. The children have always been sick. His children were sick. His grandchildren were sick. He never thought it could be changed. By a ditch. Alden leaves. Half an hour later, he returns with 2 men. They have shovels. Wooden ones. Bad ones. But shovels. They stand next to Marsh and dig. Marsh doesn't thank them. He shows them the depth. He shows the width. He shows the slope. They dig in silence. By evening, 50 meters of the ditch are ready. Marsh stops work. It's getting dark. He washes his hands in the stream. He has dinner with Alden. Porridge made from something resembling barley. Bland, but hot. Few calories, about 200 per serving by eye. He needs at least 2,000 a day with this workload. He needs to figure out the food situation. At night, Marsh doesn't sleep. He lies in his pit on the hill and thinks. 9 champions. Chiron has gone southeast. Morrigan is somewhere in the shadows. Zane is building an army in the east based on information from the scrolls. The other 6 are unknown. Of the 9, at least 2 will clash in the coming days. The law of large numbers. 9 predators in a confined space. Someone will find someone. Marsh falls asleep. On the 4th day, a runner arrives from the village of Oaklog. A boy of about 10, barefoot, out of breath. Evelyn was there yesterday, she told us. The boy had been running for half a day. He collapsed by the well. Alden gave him water. Marsh walked over. He crouched down in front of the boy. He asked his name. The boy said Ram. Marsh asked what he had seen. Ram said that 2 days ago, explosions had been heard south of Dubovy Log. Bright flashes, thunder in a clear sky, then silence. Then a man walked through their village, tall, in a black cloak, silent, didn't look at anyone. He was heading north. A black streak remained on the ground behind him. The grass died where he stepped. Marsh listens. He thinks. Explosions and flashes. 2 champions have clashed. One of them is probably dead. The man in the black cloak. The scrolls. Which of the 9 walks in black and leaves a trail of death? Victor Morn, champion of Zeltis, god of the plague, necromancer. His power is poison and decay. Svitok said he's a loner, no army. He doesn't need an army. He needs corpses. He makes soldiers out of corpses. Marsh stands up. Thanks, Ram. He pulls a pinch of salt from his pocket that he begged from Alden. He gives it to the boy. He says he pays for every bit of news. Ram looks at the salt as if it were gold. He runs back. Marsh unfolds the map. He marks a point south of Oak Hollow, the site of the clash. He draws an arrow pointing the north, Victor's direction of travel. If he keeps heading north, in 2 or 3 days he'll be in the Willowbrook area. That's bad. The necromancer is nearby, Mars thinks. The necromancer is heading north. That means there's something there. Or someone. A necromancer doesn't just wander around for no reason. He's hunting. According to the map, there's a mountain pass to the north. Beyond the pass lies Archon Zane's territory. Maybe Victor is heading toward Zane. Maybe not. Not enough information. We need more eyes. Marsh goes to Alden, asks for one more thing. People. Not warriors, observers. Old people and children who can sit in the trees and on the hills and watch. Alden says he can provide the old people, not the children. It's dangerous. Marsh shakes his head. He says that children are actually the best observers. They're small. They go unnoticed. They're quick. They're curious. He'll teach them what to do. Alden doesn't agree. Marsh doesn't press the issue. He says fine. Then the old folks. 3 will do. 1 on the southern hill, 1 at the western edge of the woods, 1 by the eastern stream. If they see strangers, they'll get out of there and run to the village. They won't hide. They won't try to be heroes. They run. Alden agrees. By the evening of the 4th day, Marsh has 3 observation posts. Primitive ones. No optics. No communication except for runners. But they exist. On the 5th day, Evelyn returns. Tired. Her feet are covered in dust. But her eyes are burning. 4 villages. 4 village elders. 3 agreed. The 4th refused. He was afraid. Marsh asks which one. Evelyn names it. Hillcrest. The village far to the west. Village elder Brahm. An older man. Cautious. He said he doesn't want any trouble. Marsh nods. He isn't angry. A cautious man isn't an enemy. He's just scared. 3 villages, 3 points. Plus Willowbrook. 4. The start of the network. Marsh unfolds the map and marks new points, new lines. Lines between the villages, the runner's routes. He estimates the time. A runner from the farthest village to Willowbrook takes 4 hours. That's slow, but better than nothing. Evelyn sits down beside him. They look at the map together. Marsh shows her what he's marked over these 3 days. Chiron's position, Victor's movements, observation posts, the drainage ditch. Evelyn listens. Then she quietly says that in 3 days, he has done more for this village than anyone has in 30 years. Marsh shakes his head. He says he dug a ditch. It's no feat. It's hygiene. Evelyn looks at him. There is something new in her gaze. Not admiration, not reverence. Something quieter. She sees a man doing simple things. And for some reason, these simple things change everything. Marsh doesn't notice her gaze. He looks at the map and thinks about how the drainage ditch will take another 3 days and that he needs to find a source of salt to pay the informants. On the 6th day, something happens that he didn't plan for. A convoy approaches from the south. 4 soldiers. Not Chirons. Others. In gray cloaks bearing the scales emblem. Soldiers of the Order of Order. Archon Zane's men. They are leading a captive. A girl. Young. Her hands bound. A gag in her mouth. A rope around her neck. They drag her like an animal. The convoy passes through the fields south of Willowbrook. They don't enter the village. They walk past along the road. March stands at the edge of the forest and watches. He sees the 4 soldiers. He sees the captive. He sees the direction. North. Toward the mountain pass. Toward Zane's territory. He sees that the girl is limping. Her right leg. She tries to walk but stumbles. A soldier yanks the rope. She falls to her knees. A second soldier hits her on the back with the shaft of a spear. She gets up. She keeps walking. Marsh counts to 10. Breathes steadily. His pulse is steady. He's no hero. He doesn't rush to save everyone who's being beaten. He's a sergeant, he thinks. 4 of them. Armed. Spears, swords at their belts, chainmail. He's alone. A knife. A shovel. No magic. In open combat, they'll kill him in a minute. He looks at the road. The road runs through the forest 2 kilometers to the north. There's a narrowing there. Trees close in on the path from both sides. He could outrun them through the forest. But why? Why does he need this girl? Why does he need a conflict with Zane? Marsh stands and watches as the convoy heads north. Then he turns and walks back to the village. He takes 5 steps. He stops. He stands motionless. He remembers Zane's scroll. An army of 200 men. Discipline. The magic of command. His soldiers feel no pain. What does Zane need prisoners for? For labor. For rituals. For interrogations. If Zane takes prisoners, that means he has a prison camp. That means there's infrastructure. That means the girl saw that infrastructure from the inside. She saw how many people Zane has. She saw where he's stationed. She saw his camp. She's not a victim. She's a source of intelligence. Marsh turns around. He runs through the forest. His hip is burning. He runs. 20 minutes later, he comes out onto a road 2 kilometers to the north. The forest is dense here. The road is narrow. A trail. He looks around, quickly, finds what he needs. 2 trees on either side of the path, 4 meters between them. Marsh pulls out a rope, stretches it across the path at ankle height, ties it to the trunks, covers it with leaves, then retreats 10 meters into the woods, sits down behind a bush, waits. After minutes, he hears footsteps, the clang of metal, voices, the convoy. The first soldier passes the rope. He steps on it. The rope is stretched low and tight. His foot catches on it. He falls face first into the mud. His spear flies forward. The second soldier stops. He looks down. The third stumbles into the second. The fourth yanks the rope with the captive. 3 seconds of chaos. The march doesn't proceed. He sits behind a bush and speaks, loudly, calmly. He says there are 8 archers around them. He says the rope on the trail is a warning. The next warning will be an arrow. He says they need to leave the captive and head north. Calmly, unarmed. No one will get hurt. The first soldier gets up from the ground, mud on his face, angry. He looks into the woods. He sees no one. The commander speaks again. I'll count to 10. At 10, we shoot. 1, 2. He counts slowly, in a calm, commanding voice. The voice of a man who truly commands archers. 3, 4. At 5, one of the soldiers drops his spear and raises his hands. At 6, the second does the same. On 7, the third looks back at the fourth. The fourth is the oldest. He looks into the forest. He tries to see the archers. He sees none, because there are none. But he doesn't know that. 8. The fourth throws the captive's rope. He picks up his spear, raises it, point toward the sky, a sign of peace. They leave, without the captive. Marsh sits behind the bush for another 10 minutes. Quiet, listening. Footsteps recede. The birds start singing again. They're gone. Marsh steps out onto the path. The girl is standing there with her hands tied and a gag in her mouth. She's looking into the forest. Her eyes are huge. Marsh approaches. He removes the gag. He cuts the rope on her hands. She rubs her wrists. She looks at him. He asks her name. She says her name is Sora Chue. Marsh nods. He asks where she's from. Sora tells him quickly. She's a scout. She worked for Lord Gramhold. The Lord sold her to the Order of Order for 2 sacks of wheat. She was caught trying to desert. They were supposed to hang her, but the soldiers decided to take her to Zane. He uses prisoners. Marsh listens. He asks how old she is. 19. He asks what she can do. Sora lists them off. Tracking, hunting, the forest, traps, bows, knives, stealth. She knows the northern forest by heart. Every trail, every stream, every burrow. Marsh looks at her for 30 seconds. 19 years old, skinny, dirty, bruises on her face. She limps, but her eyes are alive, unbroken. He tells her she needs water and food and her leg bandaged. She goes with him. Sora limps. Her right leg. Her ankle is swollen. Not a fracture, a sprain. Marsh can tell by the way she walks. She shifts her weight to her heel, not her toe. Her toe hurts. Ligaments. He leads her through the woods, slowly. She doesn't complain, not a sound. She walks and grits her teeth. Marsh notices that too. 19 years old, used to endure pain in silence. That means she was beaten often and punished for complaining. He remembers. In Willowbrook, Alden meets them at the well. He looks at Sora, at the bruises, at the rope marks on her wrists. He shakes his head. His wife brings a bowl of porridge and a mug of water. Sora eats so fast she chokes. Marsh gently tells her to slow down. After starvation, the stomach can't handle fast food. Sora will throw up. She stops, looks at him, continues eating more slowly. After the meal, Marsh sits down in front of her and asks her to take off her boot, the right one. Sora takes it off. Her ankle is blue. It's severely swollen. Mars feels it. His fingers are gentle. He presses on the bone. Sora flinches. The bone is intact. The ligaments are stretched. He takes a cloth, wets it in cold water, wraps it around the ankle, tightly, a constricting bandage. He says she can walk but not run. 3 days. Then it will be easier. Sora looks at her bandaged leg, then at Marsh. She asks why he's doing this. Marsh replies that it's because the leg won't heal on its own if she walks on it without immobilization. Sora shakes her head. She says it's not about the leg. Why did he save her? Marsh says he needs a scout. She's a scout. It's simple math. Sora is silent. She was expecting a different answer. A beautiful one. About justice, about pity, about how a man should protect a woman. But instead, she got math. And for some reason, this answer is better than all the beautiful words she's ever heard. Because it's honest. Marsh unfolds the map. He sits down next to Sora. He points. Here is Willowbrook. Here are 4 friendly villages. Here is Chiron's camp. Here is Victor's approximate route. Here is the mountain pass beyond which lies Zane. He asks Sora what she saw while she was captive. Sora tells him. She was captured 4 days ago. She walked with the convoy for 2 days. They came from the east, from the foothills. Zane's camp is there. It's huge, not even a camp, a fortress, stone walls. Unfinished but already as tall as a person. Inside, everything is orderly. Tents in rows, streets, a schedule, soldiers marching in formation. She estimates there are between 150 and 200 of them. The marshal listens. The scroll said 200. Sora confirms it. She continues. Zane himself. She saw him once. Tall, thin, a face like a mask. Not a single muscle moves. His eyes are not blue, white. No pupils. The magic of order. He stood on the wall and looked down at the formation. The soldiers marched. All the same. The same step. The same rhythm. Like one man. Sora says that was the scariest part. Not the cruelty, the sameness, as if they weren't people but parts of a machine. Marsh nods. He thinks. The magic of command. The soldiers feel no pain as long as Zane is alive. That means two things. First, in battle, they won't stop from their wounds. Second, if Zane is killed, they'll all collapse. The head is cut off and the body dies. A classic structure, vulnerable to a precision strike. But Zane is behind a wall with 200 pain-insensitive soldiers. A precision strike is impossible, for now at least. Marsh thanks Sora. He says she just gave him information worth 1,000 gold. Sora doesn't understand. She just told him what she saw. Marsh explains. Every other champion sees only their own territory. They don't know what Zane is doing. They don't know about the walls, about the formation, about the white eyes. But now he knows. Knowledge is an advantage. An advantage is life. Sora listens. Something changes in her eyes. For the first time in her life, what she's good at, observing and remembering, has been called valuable. Not theft, not espionage, valuable. Marsh stands up. He says he has a job for her, when her leg allows it, in 3 days. She will be in charge of the northern sector, this section of the map. Everything that happens in this zone is her responsibility. He trusts her with this sector. Sora is silent, for a long time. Then she nods. Marsh goes off to dig a drainage ditch. 3 days pass. The ditch is ready, 120 meters. From the center of the village to the stream. The water drains away. The ground is drying out. The mud around the well, which has been there for years, is starting to dry out for the first time in its life. Children are running across the dry ground. Alden stands and watches. He is silent. Marsh washes his shovel in the stream. Over these 3 days, he has learned something else. The runners brought news. In the west, 2 champions clashed. One of them is the champion of the god of thunder. The other is the champion of the goddess of the forest. The clash was brief. The champion of the forest is dead. The champion of thunder is wounded. He went west. Treat the wounds. 1 down, 8 left out of 9, counting Marsh. On the 8th day, Sora sets out on her first mission. Her leg still hurts, but she walks without limping. Marsh gives her instructions. To traverse the northern sector in an arc, 10 kilometers. Don't make contact. Don't show yourself to people. Look, memorize. Tracks, campfires, trails, broken branches. Return before dark. Sora leaves. She vanishes into the forest in 3 seconds. Marsh blinks. She was just standing there, and now she's gone. Good. Very good. While Sora is on reconnaissance, Marsh works in the village. Today he's working on the well. The water in the well is murky. It's unsafe to drink. He explained to Alden that the water needs to be boiled. Alden asked why. Marsh explained. There are creatures living in the water so small that the eye cannot see them. They cause disease. Boiling kills them. Alden didn't believe him. Marsh didn't argue. He asked Alden to boil the water for the children. At least for the children. For 1 week. If the children don't get sick even once in a week, then Alden will decide for himself. Alden agreed. By evening, Sora returns. She reports. Marsh sits at the map and listens. Northern sector, 3 trails, 2 abandoned, 1 fresh. Footprints on the fresh trail, 4 horses, heavily laden, headed northeast, 2 days ago. Human footprints near the horse tracks. 5 or 6 people. Boots. Military. Marsh asks which direction. Sora points on the map. To the northeast. Toward the pass. Toward Zine. Marsh thinks. Who is transporting supplies to Zine? Supplies. So Zine has a supply line. A long one. Across the entire northern sector. That's important. An army that depends on a supply line is vulnerable. Cut the line, and the army starves. But that's for later. It's too early now. Marsh thanks Sora. He says the work is excellent. Sora doesn't smile, but her shoulders straighten. Just a little. On the 10th day, a woman arrives in Willowbrook. Alone. On foot. From the south. She walks openly along the road. Doesn't hide. Carries a canvas bag over her shoulder. Her clothes are dirty, torn. Her face is calm. Too calm. The calmness of someone who has already lost everything and has nothing left to fear. Alden sees her first. He goes out to meet her. The woman approaches. She says her village was burned down 3 days ago. An army with red banners marched through it. They didn't stop. They just burned everything along the way. She's a doctor. She was. Now there's no one left to treat. Everyone's dead. Her husband. Her son. The boy was 6 years old. She was stitching up wounds when they came. She didn't have time to do anything. Alden leads her to the house, gives her water, food. She eats mechanically, without tasting anything. March comes over, sits down across from her, doesn't say anything. A minute, 2, just sits there. Then asks quietly, "What's your name?" Hannah Lowe, 31 years old, a healer. Marsh nods, asks what she knows how to do. Hannah lists them off. Herbs, ointments, decoctions, childbirth, dislocations, fractures, burns, everything village healers were taught. Prayers, leeches. Marsh listens. Then he takes a strip of cloth from his pocket. Clean. He washes the rags every evening and dries them by the fire. This is his bandaging material. He tells Hannah to watch. He takes a stick, holds it in front of him like an arm, shows her how to apply a tourniquet. Twist, loop, tighten. 3 movements, 5 seconds. He says this can stop arterial bleeding. 5 seconds. Hannah watches. She doesn't blink. Marsh continues. He demonstrates a pressure bandage. He shows how to rinse the wound with boiled water. He demonstrates how to splint a broken bone with 2 sticks and a cloth. Simple things. Basic field medicine. What they teach in the 2nd week of Army training. Hannah is silent. Her expression doesn't change, but her hands are shaking. She slowly sits down on the ground. She sits, for a long time. Then she speaks softly. If only she'd known about a tourniquet. Her son. He had a wound on his leg. A log fell. It severed an artery. She tried to pinch it shut with her hands. She couldn't. Blood flowed through her fingers. He died in 5 minutes. He was 6. If only she'd known 3 steps in 5 seconds, he'd still be alive. Marsh sits next to her. He doesn't offer comfort. He doesn't say everything will be okay. He doesn't lie. He just speaks. Now you know. You'll save the next one. Hannah is silent. She stands up, wipes her face, says she's staying. Marsh nods. By the end of the 10th day, he has a team. Evelyn, communications, intelligence, map. Sora, reconnaissance, forest, northern sector. Hannah, medicine, the wounded, hygiene. 3 women, not a single swordsman, not a single mage, not a single knight. A sergeant and 3 women against 8 champions with armies and magic. Marsh sits by the campfire in the evening. It's the first time he's lit a fire in the village, not on the hill. Fires are still forbidden on the hill. But in the village, among the houses, a fire is normal and doesn't give away their position. He looks at the map. 8 dots, 8 champions, plus him. 4 of them will clash with each other within the next month. Ego and thirst for glory. 4 or 5 will remain. He doesn't need to kill anyone right now. He needs to survive the first month. Dig in. Gather people. Figure out who's where and what they're doing. Then he'll start acting. Not before. He folds the map. Evelyn approaches. She hands him a mug of hot broth. She sits down next to him. She is silent. Sora sits a little further away. She is cleaning a knife. Hannah is in Olden's house. She is sorting through her herbs, laying them out, counting them. Marsh drinks the brew, bitter, hot. It's fine. He looks at the stars. They are different. Not those constellations. Not the same moon. 2 moons. One big and pale, the second small and reddish. Another world. Another sky. But the ground beneath his feet is the same. Damp, loose, easy to dig. That's enough. The second morning of the second week. Marsh wakes up in a hole on a hill. The habit hasn't changed. He sleeps at his post, not in the village. The village is the rear. The rear is for rest. The post is for sleep. A sergeant sleeps where he works. He lies there for 30 seconds and listens. The silence is different. The birds are singing, but with pauses, short ones. Something is disturbing them. Something large in the distance. Not nearby, but closer than yesterday. Marsh gets up. His hip aches as usual. He walks around the perimeter. No tracks. But on the south side of the hill, a branch is broken. High up, at chest level. An animal doesn't break branches at chest level. A person does. Someone passed by the hill last night, didn't notice Marsh, walked right past. But they passed. Marsh descends the hill, looks for tracks, finds them. One person. Lightweight. Soft boots. Hunting boots. Not military. Headed from south to north. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. The tracks are even. A confident stride. A man who knows where he's going. Marsh follows the trail for 200 meters. The trail goes into the forest and disappears. The soft ground gives way to a rocky patch. Can't follow any further. He returns. Finds Sora in the village. She's already awake. Describes the tracks to her. One person. Light. Soft boots. From south to north. At night. Sora listens. Nods. Says she'll check it out. She heads into the forest. Marsh goes about his business. He has a meeting today. Yesterday, a runner brought news from the village of Crosswind, one of the 3 friendly villages. Their village head wants to speak with Marsh. In person. Marsh is going to Crosswind, 5 kilometers to the west. Evelyn is going with him. She knows the way and knows the village head. They walk through the forest. Marsh is in front. Evelyn follows him. She's learned to walk more quietly over the past week. He didn't teach her on purpose. She just watched how he put his foot down and started copying him. Good. A quick learner. Crosswind is bigger than Willowbrook. 9 houses. About 30 people. A mill on the stream. A blacksmith shop. Small but functional. The village head meets them at the gate. A man in his 50s. Broad. Strong. Hands like shovels. A blacksmith. Not a blacksmith village head, but a village head blacksmith. Here, it's the same person. His name is Tobias. Marsh extends his hand. Tobias looks at the outstretched hand. Doesn't understand. In this world, they don't shake hands. They bow. Marsh waits. Tobias shakes his hand. Hesitantly. His grip is firm. A worker's grip. Marsh approves. They sit down by the forge. Tobias explains. 2 problems. First, wolves are coming from the east, not ordinary ones. Big, black, red eyes, spawn of magic. One of the champions set them on the district, or simply created them and can't control them. The wolves have killed 3 goats in a week. Soon they'll get to the people. The second problem. The village across the river. Haven Rock. Not friendly. Their elder, Brahm, is the same one who rejected Evelyn. Brahm collects tribute for the champion of thunder. He forces neighboring villages to pay in grain and iron. Those who don't pay face a raid. Tobias has managed to buy his way out so far, but the grain is running out. Marsh listens. 2 questions: the wolves and Brahm. He starts with the wolves. He asks Tobias how many there are. Tobias says they've seen 4, maybe more. Hunters are afraid to go into the eastern forest. Marsh asks if they've tried to kill them. Tobias says one hunter shot at one. The arrow hit. The wolf didn't fall. It pulled the arrow out with its teeth and ran off. Magical creatures. Ordinary weapons don't work on them. Or they work poorly. Marsh thinks. You can't kill magical creatures with ordinary weapons. He doesn't have a magical weapon. He has a shovel. But the wolves don't need to be killed. They need to be scared off. Or redirect them. Marsh asks exactly where the wolves are coming from. Tobias points. The eastern forest. Beyond the ravine. That's where their den is. Marsh asks what they eat. Tobias says goats. Marsh clarifies. Besides goats. Tobias doesn't understand the question. Marsh explains. Wolves are predators. They eat meat. Goats are easy prey. But if the goats become inconvenient and other food appears nearby, the wolves will go there. He won't fight the wolves. He'll make sure that goats become unprofitable. Marsh asks Tobias to show him the pasture. Tobias leads the way. The pasture is behind the village, a field, open. The goats roam freely. There is no fence. There is no shepherd. The goats wander on their own. Marsh shakes his head. He says this isn't a pasture but a smorgasbord for a predator. Tobias doesn't understand what a smorgasbord is, but he gets the gist. Marsh explains what's needed. A fence. A simple one. Not to keep people out, to keep wolves out. 1.5 meters high. Stakes driven into the ground. Poles between them. A ditch around the perimeter. Not very deep. But wolves don't like ditches. They don't jump over things they can't see through. Inside the fence, a pen. The goats go inside at night. During the day, they're under supervision. Tobias says it's a lot of work. Marsh says losing all the goats is more work. Tobias is silent. Then he nods. Marsh picks up a shovel. He starts marking out the lines. He drives stakes into the ground along the perimeter. Tobias watches. Then he leaves. Half an hour later, he returns with 4 men and axes. They start chopping the stakes. Marsh digs a trench. By noon, the perimeter is marked out. The trench is 1/3 of the way done. Marsh leaves Tobias to finish up and moves on to the second problem. Brahm. Marsh asks Tobias what he knows about Brahm. Tobias tells him. Brahm is an old, cunning coward. He isn't strong on his own. But he's latched onto the Thunder Champion like a leech. He pays him tribute from other villages. In return, the Thunder Champion promises protection. Brahm has become his tax collector. He gets a cut of it. He lives better than anyone else. Marsh listens. He asks if anyone has seen the Thunder Champion himself around here. Tobias says no. The Thunder Champion is far away, in the west, wounded after a battle with the Forest Champion. Brahm is just using his name. It's intimidating. Marsh nods. So Brahm isn't a military threat. He's a political one. He can be neutralized without violence. It's enough to show the villages that Brahm has no real power behind him. That the Thunder Champion is wounded and far away, and won't be coming. Marsh discusses this with Tobias. He says he needs someone who can go around the villages and talk. Convincingly. Tobias shakes his head. He says he's a blacksmith, not a talker. But he has a daughter, 16 years old, smart. Too smart for the village. Her name is Una. Marsh asks to see her. Tobias leads him to the smithy. A girl is standing by the anvil. Not very tall. Dark hair tied in a bun. An apron. Her hands are covered in soot. She strikes the red-hot metal with a hammer. Steady. Rhythmic. The blow is precise. Marsh watches. She works better than most blacksmiths he's seen, and she's 16. Una notices them. She stops. The hammer drops. She looks at Marsh, silently. She doesn't say hello. She waits. Marsh approaches. He says he needs a shovel. Una blinks. She looks at the shovel behind his back. Marsh takes out his own. He places it on the workbench. He says he needs one like that, but made from local metal. Una takes the shovel. She turns it over. She looks at the weld, at the curve, at the sharpening angle, at the handle attachment. She's silent for 10 minutes. Then she says one word.
I can do it.
Marsh nods. He says he doesn't need just one. Many, different ones, for different people. Una looks at him. Something lights up in her eyes. Interest. Professional. Marsh explains. A shovel for a petite woman. The handle is shorter. The grip is narrower. A shovel for a big man. Longer, wider, heavier. A shovel for working in the woods, with a serrated edge, to chop roots. Each shovel for a specific person. Una listens. Her eyes don't blink. She's soaking it all in. Tobias stands nearby. His expression is complex. He loves his daughter, it's clear. But he doesn't believe a woman can be a master craftsman. Not because he's a bad man, because he's been told his whole life that this isn't women's work. He's preparing her for marriage. A good guy from the neighboring village, strong, with a house. Marsh can see it in the way Tobias looks at her. Protective, jealous. Marsh turns to Tobias. He speaks quietly, not in front of Una. Later. He pulls him aside. He speaks plainly. Your daughter is the best blacksmith I've ever seen. If you marry her off to a guy from the neighboring village, you'll be committing a crime. Not against her, against the craft. Tobias looks at Marsh. His jaw clenches. He wants to object. She's his daughter. It's his right. Marsh says he's not disputing his right. But the girl has the hands of a master. That happens once in a generation. He's seen it twice in his life. Both times with people who weren't allowed to do what they did best. One was broken. The other broke himself. Marsh doesn't tell Tobias what to do. He says what he sees, and leaves. Tobias stands there. He watches his daughter through the smithy door. Una is already sketching on a piece of leather. A sketch of a shovel. From memory. After 10 minutes of observation. Exactly. Tobias wipes his eyes with the back of his hand, turns away. Marsh doesn't see this. He's already walking back to Willowbrook. The road through the forest. 5 kilometers. Evelyn is by his side. She's been silent all day, listening, watching. Now she speaks. She asks why he's helping the villages. He could just hide, wait it out, let the other champions kill each other. Why the shovels? Why the ditches? Why the wolves and Brom? Marsh walks in silence. Then he answers. He says he could hide for a week, a month, 2. But sooner or later they'll find him. He's alone. He has no magic, no army, no walls. When they find him, he must not be alone. He must have people who know where the enemy is, people who will warn him, people who will hide him if necessary, people who will feed him and bandage his wounds. The villages are his army. Not soldiers, infrastructure, eyes, ears, hands, warehouses, roads, forges. He doesn't help them out of kindness. He helps them because without them, he's a dead man. Evelyn is silent. Then she says that's not the whole truth. Marsh asks where she got that from. Evelyn says she saw him digging a drainage ditch. 6 hours. Alone. No one asked him to. No one was watching. Drainage ditch won't save him from the champion, but it will save the children from disease. That's not a tactic. It's something else. Marsh is silent for a long time. Then he says she's right. The ditch isn't a tactic. The ditch is because children shouldn't get sick from dirty water. Tactics are a bonus. The main reason is simpler. He's used to fixing what's broken. 14 years in the army. If you see a problem and can solve it, solve it. Not because you'll get paid for it, because it's the right thing to do. Evelyn smiles, for the first time ever, quietly, barely noticeably. They return to Willowbrook by evening. Sora is standing by the well. She's back from the northern sector, and she's not alone. Next to it is a boy of about 11, dirty, skinny, barefoot. Sora says she found him in the woods, alone, without food, without water, lost. His village is to the northeast, Stoneford. The boy ran away from there 2 days ago. His name is Royce. Marsh crouches down in front of him, looks him in the eyes, speaks calmly. Royce, you're safe. Tell me what happened. Royce speaks. He stumbles over his words, but he speaks. 3 days ago, a man approached their village, alone, in a black. He didn't speak. He didn't ask for anything. He walked through the village. Wherever he stepped, the grass turned black. He reached the cemetery on the outskirts. He stood over the graves. He raised his hands. The earth cracked. The dead rose from the graves, 7 of them. People who had been buried in recent years. Someone's grandfather, someone's mother, someone's child. They rose and followed him. The man in black headed north, with 7 dead. The village stands empty. Everyone has fled. Victor Morn, necromancer. He's gathering an army from the dead. Marsh takes Royce by the shoulder, gently. He says the boy did well to make it here. He tells Hannah to look after him, feed him, give him something to drink, let him sleep. Hannah takes Royce and leads him away. Marsh unfolds the map. He marks a new point. Stoneford, northeast. Victor was there 3 days ago. He was heading north. He now has at least 7 dead, plus the ones he raised earlier, plus the ones he'll raise from the next village. Every cemetery is a reinforcement. In a month, he'll have an army. No costs, no supplies. The dead don't need food. Marsh sits over the map. He looks. Victor is heading north, toward the pass, toward Zane, or past Zane. It doesn't matter. He's going through villages, through cemeteries, gathering. Marsh can't stop him. He has nothing to do it with. Death magic against a shovel. It's not a fight. It's an execution. But he can do something else. He can warn the villages, the ones in Victor's path. Bury the dead deeper. Cover the graves with stone. Burn those who can be burned. Don't leave the necromancer any material. Marsh calls Evelyn. Tells her she needs to run, not walk. Run. To Oak Grove and beyond. All the villages to the northeast. Tell them about Victor. Tell them what to do with the graveyards. Every unburied grave is a future soldier for the enemy. Evelyn nods. She turns pale but nods. She leaves at dawn. Finn is with her. The runner. Marsh stands at the edge of town and watches them go. Then he turns around. Sora stands nearby, quiet as always. Marsh says he needs more people, more eyes. The situation is getting complicated. One necromancer in the north, one fanatic in the southeast, one tyrant in the east. 3 threats from 3 sides. He's alone with a shovel. 3 women, a handful of old men. That's not enough. Sora is silent. Then she speaks quietly. She knows people. In the forest, deserters, fugitives, hunters who serve no one. They aren't warriors, they're survivors, like her. Marsh asks how many. Sora thinks. Says she knows for sure about 5, maybe more. They're scattered throughout the northern forest, hiding. They don't trust anyone. Marsh asks if they'll trust her. Sora says one of them will. The rest, through him, maybe. Marsh nods. He says he doesn't need soldiers. He needs lookouts. People who know how to sit quietly in the woods and watch. That's what they do best. He'll pay them with food and safety, a place in the village, a roof over their heads, food, protection. In return, they watch and report. Sora says she'll try. Marsh says she won't try. She'll do it. It's an order. Then he stops, looks at Sora, says he's sorry. There are no orders here. There's a request. He's asking. Sora looks at him for a long time, then says an order would have been better. She's used to that. Turns around and walks into the woods. Marsh stands there. He watches her go. He shakes his head. 19 years old, used to orders, doesn't know any other language. He'll teach her. Later. Right now he has things to do. He picks up a shovel and goes to dig fortifications around Willowbrook. Not a wall, a ditch. Shallow, knee-deep, with a berm of excavated earth on the inside. It won't stop an army, but it will slow them down. Give time to see, time to gather, time to decide whether to run or stand their ground. He digs all day, alone. By evening, the ditch is 40 meters long, the north side, the most dangerous. That's where Victor is coming from. Marsh washes his hands, drinks some water, sits down, looks at the ditch. 40 meters. He needs 300. That's a week's work for one person. He needs people. He needs shovels. He needs time. He always needs time. His eternal enemy and eternal ally. It's getting dark. Marsh lies in his pit. He looks at the 2 moons. He thinks. 11 days in this world. He dug a trench. He drove off an army. He saved a scout. He took in a healer. He began building a network. He began digging defenses. He learned about the necromancer. He sent a warning, asked for help. 11 days. During that time, the other champions killed 2 people and burned 3 villages. He hasn't killed anyone. He hasn't burned anything. But he has 4 villages that trust him. A scout who knows the forest. A healer who now knows how to apply a tourniquet. A priestess who remembers his every word. A blacksmith who can forge anything. And a moat. 40 meters of moat. It's not enough, but it's a start. He falls asleep, and in his dream, for the first time, he hears a voice. Quiet, distant, as if someone were speaking from the depths of a well. The voice says one word. Thank you. Marsh doesn't wake up, but in his sleep he frowns and mutters in reply. You can say thank you when we win. For now, let me sleep. The 12th day. Marsh stands knee-deep in the ditch and shovels dirt onto the parapet. The moat is growing. 60 meters overnight and this morning. His hands are calloused. Old calluses on top of old calluses. He's used to it. The soil here is good. Clay mixed with sand. It holds its shape, doesn't crumble. He shapes the moat wall at an angle, not vertical, sloping inward. That way it's harder for anyone who falls to climb out. Alden stands at the edge and watches. Next to him are 2 men from the village. They're silent. Then one climbs down into the ditch. He takes a shovel, a wooden one, a bad one, but he takes it. He starts digging next to Marsh. Marsh doesn't thank him. He indicates the depth. He indicates the angle. The man nods and digs. The second one climbs down a minute later. By noon, there are 5 of them. Marsh and 4 villagers. The ditch is growing. 80 meters. 100. A runner comes running from the west. A boy from Crosswind, out of breath. He says, Tobias finished the goat pen. The wolves came at night. They stood by the ditch, watched, didn't jump over, went east. Marsh nods. It works. The pen worked. The wolves will go look for food somewhere else. There are other villages to the east. We need to warn them. He sends the runner back with a note for Tobias. 3 words in the note. Pens for the neighbors. Tobias will understand. By evening, the ditch on the north side is finished. 120 meters, knee-deep. A parapet half a man's height. Not a fortress, but a line, a visible line. Someone approaches from the north and sees the ditch, and thinks. Marsh. He eats dinner, porridge, the same old porridge, few calories. He's losing weight. He can feel the relief in the way he sits, more at ease. He needs to figure out the food situation. Morning of the 13th day. Sora returns. A man is with her. A man in his 30s, thin, wiry, weather-beaten face, clothes made of animal skins. A bow on his back, homemade. A quiver made of birch bark. His name is Cade, a deserter, a former gamekeeper for a lord whose name he won't mention. He left because the lord ordered him to burn down a village, and Cade refused. 2 years in the woods, alone. Marsh sits across from him, stares. 3 minutes of silence. Cade doesn't look away, doesn't fidget. Calm, used to silence, used to solitude. But he came. So he's tired of being alone, or hungry, or both. Marsh says he needs eyes in the eastern forest. Cade knows the eastern forest. The job is simple. Sit. Watch. If you see movement, send a runner. Don't engage in combat. Don't show yourself. In return, food. A place in the village. A roof over his head. Cade is silent. Then he asks what kind of man Marsh is. Sora says he's the one who drove the Golden Knight away with fire and didn't kill anyone. Cade looks at Marsh, at his shovel, at the dirt under his fingernails, at the calluses. He says he's a strange commander who digs for himself. Marsh says he's not a commander. He's a sergeant. Sergeants always dig for themselves. Cade smirks. For the first time, he says he'll stay. Marsh assigns him to the eastern sector. Now he has 3 sectors under his watch. North, Sora. East, Cade. West, the runners from Crosswind. South is still a blind spot. He needs one more person. Day 14. The end of the 2nd week. Evelyn returns, exhausted. She's visited 5 villages in 4 days. Her feet are raw and bleeding. Marsh sits her down, Hannah her feet, boiled water, a clean cloth, an herbal ointment that Hannah makes herself. Evelyn reports. 5 villages have been warned. 3 have started covering their cemeteries with stones. 2 refused. They say it's a sin to disturb the dead. Marsh shakes his head. It's a sin when a dead grandfather rises and goes to kill his living grandson. But he can't force people. He can only warn them. Evelyn continues her story. In the village of Olkova Top in the northeast, she heard something new. 2 champions clashed in the west, the champion of the sea against the champion of stone. The battle lasted 2 days. Both survived. Both retreated. But the surrounding area within a 3-kilometer radius turned into a dead zone. The ground is eroded. The rocks are split. The river has burst its banks. The village of Sosnovi Mis is flooded. People have fled. Marsh marks the map. A dead zone in the west. 2 champions are alive but weakened. Good. Let them weaken each other. He counts. There were 11. 2 were killed before he arrived. 1 was killed in the 1st week. The forest champion. 8 remain, minus him. 7 opponents. Chiron in the southeast. Zane in the east beyond the pass, Victor in the northeast, the Thunder Champion in the west, wounded. The Of the Sea and the Champion of Stone in the dead zone, also wounded. Morrigan, somewhere in the shadows, invisible. 7. Of those, 3 are wounded or weakened, 4 at full strength. Marsh folds the map. They need food. That's the priority. His men are losing weight. The village feeds them, but the village itself is hungry. Enough grain for 2 months, if they share it. Marsh goes to Alden, asks what grows in the area. Alden lists it. Barley, turnips, cabbage, beans. They missed the planting season. The next harvest is 4 months away. Marsh asks about hunting. Alden says there are deer in the forest, boars, hares, but hunting is dangerous. Magical wolves, enemy soldiers. Marsh nods. He calls for Cade, asks if he can hunt without getting caught. Cade smirks. 2 years in the woods, he's hunted every day, knows where the deer are, knows where the boars are, can bring back meat. Marsh says he needs meat for 20 men every 3 days. Cade thinks. Says he can't handle it alone. He needs a partner, Sora. She knows the northern forest. He knows the eastern one. Together, they'll cover the territory. Marsh agrees. He rearranges the schedule. Sora and Cade take turns scouting and hunting. Scouting day, hunting day. 2 days later, Cade brings back a deer, a whole one. He drags it on a sled made of branches. The village hasn't seen this much meat in a month. Hannah takes charge of butchering it. She knows how. The village healer is also the village butcher. They smoke the meat. They salt it with the small supply of salt they have. Marsh keeps track of the portions. Everyone gets the same. He takes as much for himself as the others. Alden tries to give him more. Marsh refuses. He says that the sergeant eats last, and as much as a private. Alden doesn't understand. Marsh doesn't explain. He just takes his portion and eats. The 15th day. March begins digging the trench on the eastern side. Now 6 men are digging with him. 4 villagers and 2 old men who can't dig deep but can carry the dirt out in baskets. The work goes faster. The trench grows 200 meters in 2 days. By the end of the 15th day, the northern and eastern sides are closed off. March stands on the parapet and looks out. A line in the ground. Simple. Rough. But it's there. He turns and sees Alden standing by the trench. And Alden is looking at the trench. And Alden has the same expression on his face that Marsh has seen before. On young soldiers. When they first realize that a trench isn't just a hole in the ground. A trench is life. Alden understood. In the evening, Marsh sits by the fire and writes. Not on paper. There is no paper. On a piece of bark, with charcoal. The schedule. Guard duty. Who stands when. Who relieves whom. 2 posts, north and east. 2-hour shifts. 3 shifts at night. 6 men. Alden assigns the men. Marsh gives the briefing. He speaks slowly. He repeats. Don't sleep. Don't drink. Don't talk. Watch. Listen. If you see something, leave quietly and wake him up. Don't shout. Don't run. Be quiet. The men listen. They nod. The first night of guard duty. Marsh doesn't sleep. He checks the posts every hour. First post. An old man named Gareth. He's sitting, watching, not sleeping. Good. Second post. A guy in his 20s, Will, dozing. Marsh approaches quietly, puts a hand on his shoulder. Will jumps up, eyes wild. Marsh says quietly that if he falls asleep on guard duty next time, Marsh will personally make him dig a latrine for the whole village. Will stays awake the rest of the night. Morning of the 16th day. Marsh is drinking his herbal tea when he hears a scream. From the south. Not a battle cry. A cry of fear. He grabs a knife and heads toward the southern edge. Beyond the village, a wagon stands on the road. The horse is limping. The wheel is broken. A woman stands next to the wagon, middle-aged, well-dressed, but her clothes are torn, dirty. Her hair is pulled back but disheveled. She's yelling at the horse. The horse stands still and blinks. Behind the woman, a second woman sits in the cart. She is younger, about 27. Dark hair, a sharp face, intelligent eyes. She looks at Marsh. She isn't shouting. She isn't panicking. She's assessing the situation. Marsh approaches. He says he'll fix the wheel, or that Alden will fix it. Where are they from? The older woman starts to explain at length and in a confused manner. Marsh raises his hand. He speaks briefly. Name. Where from? Where to? The younger woman answers for the older, clearly, quickly. Her name is Lyre Oakdong, a former lady-in-waiting to Count Talmont. Banished. She fled north with her maid. The wagon broke down. The county is behind them. They won't be caught, she hopes. Marsh asks why she was banished. Lyre looks him in the eye. She replies that it was for a rebellious tongue. Marsh waits for her to continue. Liara adds that she told the Count, in front of the entire court, that his military strategy was foolish and would lead to the deaths of men. The Count did not appreciate the criticism, especially from a woman. Marsh almost smiles. Almost. He asks if the strategy was really that foolish. Liara says the Count sent 300 men across the swamp in October. 80 returned. Not from the enemy, from fever. Marsh nods. 300 men through the swamp in October. That isn't even foolish. It's murder. He asks what she's good at besides speaking the truth at the wrong time. Liara lists them off. 6 dialects, court etiquette, protocol, heraldry, trade laws, tax law, calligraphy, history, maps, arithmetic. She's educated. For a woman in this world, that's a curse. Marsh asks why she fled north. Liara says that in the south, a woman with a sharp tongue faces a convent or the noose. In the north, there are remote villages where no one knows her name. She planned to get lost. Marsh thinks. 6 dialects, court etiquette, knowledge of politics, the ability to talk to lords. That's a resource, a valuable one. He says he has a proposal. Liara raises an eyebrow. Marsh says he needs someone who knows how to navigate the courts and talk to lords. Elegantly, persuasively, with the right words. He's no good at that himself. He speaks bluntly. Lords don't like it when people speak bluntly. They need roundabout ways, hints, metaphors. He doesn't know how. She does. Liara looks at him, then at the village, at the moat, at the guards, at Sora, who has emerged from the woods and stands with her bow at the ready, at Hannah, who is bandaging the hand of one of the men who cut himself while chopping steaks. Liara says he's serious. Marsh says he's absolutely serious. She's his political officer. She goes around the courtyards. She talks to the lords. She lies to them beautifully. She gathers information. She diverts attention. She spreads false rumors. She shapes his image. He's a 0 at this. She's a master. Liara is silent. Then she says there isn't a shred of nobility in him, and that this is his greatest virtue. Marsh says he'll take that as consent. Liara smirks. She says he'll take it the right way. Alden is fixing a wheel. Liara's maid is named May. A quiet woman in her 40s. She knows how to cook. Hannah takes her in, to the kitchen and the infirmary. Mars puts Liara on the map, literally. He sits down with her and Evelyn. He lays out everything he knows. Here are the champions. Here are the villages. Here are the lords whose lands border the valley. The lords aren't directly involved in the battle, but they trade with the champions. They sell food, weapons, people. Marsh asks Liara which of the lords can be bought and which can be intimidated. Liara answers without hesitation. Everyone can be bought. Intimidating them is harder. They're only afraid of those who are stronger, and Marsh doesn't look strong. Marsh says he doesn't need to look strong. He needs to look useful. Liara thinks. Then she smiles slowly. She says she can arrange that. Evening of the 16th day. Marsh sits alone on a hill. He looks down at the village. 5 houses. A moat on 2 sides. Smoke from the chimneys. People walking. Guards at their posts. At the smithy, Alden is wielding an axe. Hannah is boiling water in a large cauldron. Children are running. Not through the mud. On dry ground. The drainage ditch is working. Marsh counts the people. 17 villagers. Plus Evelyn, Sora, Hannah, Cade, Liara, May, Rois. 24 people. 3 weeks ago he was alone in the ravine. Now there are 24. This isn't an army. It's not a squad. It's a village that's starting to wake up. Marsh lies down in the pit, closes his eyes. The voice again, quiet, from the depths, says that Marsh is doing the impossible. Marsh replies without opening his eyes, says that a ditch and boiled water aren't impossible. It's normal. It's just that there's never been anything normal here. The voice falls silent. Then it says that is exactly why it chose him. Marsh falls asleep. The third week. Marsh wakes up and senses something is wrong. The air is different, heavy, damp. It smells of iron. He peeks out of the pit. The sky to the northeast is black, not clouds, blackness. As if someone cut out a piece of the sky and filled it with tar. The birds are silent. Everything. A silence that doesn't exist in a living forest. Marsh runs down the hill quickly. His hip shoots with pain. He pays no attention. In the village, people stand and stare at the black sky. They are silent. The children aren't playing. They've huddled close to their mothers. Olden comes out to Marsh. His face is white. He says this is what happens when God is angry. Marsh says, it's not God. It's magic. And it's coming from the northeast, from where Victor is. An hour later, a runner arrives, a boy from Oak Hollow. He collapsed by the well, barely breathing. Hannah gives him water. The boy speaks. Victor passed through their village last night. He now has more than 20 dead men. They march in formation, silent, eyes lifeless. Their bodies are rotting but still moving. Victor didn't touch the living. He just passed by. But the darkness remained. The grass is dying. The water in the well has turned bitter. The children are coughing. Marsh listens. He thinks. Victor doesn't attack villages. He gathers the dead. He doesn't need the living. Not yet. He is building an army, and he is heading north, toward the pass. So his target isn't the villages. His target is Zane, or whatever lies beyond the pass. Two predators are heading toward each other. That's good. Let them clash. But the darkness from Victor is poisoning the land. The villages in his path are suffering. The water, the earth, the air. This not a war. It's a plague. Marsh unfolds the map. He traces Victor's route, from the south to the northeast, past Stone Ford, through Oak Hollow, onward to the pass. Willowbrook lies off the route. To the west, Victor will pass it by. Unless he veers off. Marsh can't control the necromancer, but he can control the information. He calls Evelyn, tells her the runners need to be redirected. Every village on Victor's path must report where he went, in real time, hour by hour. If Victor veers west toward Willowbrook, Marsh must know about it within half a day. 6 hours. In 6 hours he'll have time to evacuate the village. Evelyn nods. She leaves. Marsh turns to Sora. He says he needs reconnaissance to the northeast. Not in her sector. Further away. Dangerous. She must find Victor's route and assess the size of his army of the dead. Sora doesn't argue. She takes a bow, a knife, a flask. She leaves. Marsh watches her go. 19 years old, heading toward the necromancer. Alone. Because he asked her to. He stands there for a long time. Then he takes a shovel and goes to dig the western side of the moat. On the 18th day, Tobias arrives. Alone. On foot from Crosswind. Carrying a sack. There are 5 shovels in the sack. Steel. Forged. Marsh takes one. He turns it over in his hands. The balance is good. The blade is even. The edge is sharp. The handle is fitted. Not perfect, but close to his army one. Very close. For a first attempt, it's excellent work. Marsh asks who forged them. Tobias says Una. All 5. One after another. 3 days without a break. He couldn't stop her. Marsh nods. He picks up the shovel that's smaller than the others. The handle is shorter. It fits his grip. He asks who it's for. Tobias says Una said it was for a short woman. She didn't specify. She just made it. Marsh sets the small shovel aside. This will be Sora's shovel, when she returns. He hands out the remaining 4 to the men digging the trench. The men take the steel shovels and look at them in silence. Then they start digging. The difference is immediate. Steel cuts through the earth 3 times easier than wood. The work speeds up. By evening, the western side of the moat is closed off. 3 sides out of 4. The southern side remains open. The entrance. Every fortress must have an entrance. But Marsh doesn't leave it open just like that. He digs a zigzagging passage on the southern side. Not straight. A person enters and turns right, then to the left, then to the right again. There is no direct path to the village. Anyone who enters slows down. Anyone who runs in stumbles. Olden looks at the zigzag and says he's never seen anything like it. Marsh says it's a standard entrance to a field fortification, older than any castle in this world. On the 19th day, Marsh with something no one expects. He builds a toilet, an outhouse, away from the well, away from the houses, a hole 1 meter by 1 meter, as deep as a man is tall. Above the pit is a wooden frame, a shelter from the rain, a path from the village. Marsh explains to Alden. Until now, people went behind the nearest house, on the ground. Rain washed the waste into the groundwater. The groundwater flowed into the well. The well gave water to the children. The children got sick. The chain is simple. Breaking it is simple. An outhouse off to the side, a deep pit. When it fills up, cover it with dirt and dig a new one. Alden listens. He shakes his head. Not in disagreement, out of surprise. 62 years. Not a single gentleman, not a single knight, not a single scholar had told him that children get sick because adults relieve themselves behind the house. A stranger came with a shovel and set it. Olden leaves. An hour later he returns with the men. They dig the pit, by themselves. Marsh doesn't help. He stands and watches. He smiles. They're learning. On the 20th day, Sora returns. Marsh is sitting by the ditch, trimming the parapet, when she emerges from the woods. Quiet, as always. He notices her 3 seconds before she speaks. She's good, but he's better. For now. Sora reports. Victor Morn is heading northeast, confirmed. She found his trail. A wide strip of dead land, 10 meters wide. The grass is black. The trees are withering. The water in the streams is bitter. She followed the strip for 2 days, found the place where he stopped. A small village cemetery. The graves are dug up. Empty. She counted 15 empty graves, plus the ones that were there before. Victor now has at least 35 dead soldiers. March is listening. 35. In a month, there will be 100. In 2 months, 200. A free army. Doesn't eat. Doesn't sleep. Doesn't mutiny. Isn't afraid. Ordinary people can't stand up to an army like that. But it has a weakness. Victor himself. One man. Kill Victor, and the army will fall. The dead without a master are just corpses. But kill Victor. How? A necromancer. The magic of death. Marsh with a knife and a shovel. Not now. Not his problem right now. Let Zane deal with it. 2 predators. Let them devour each other. Marsh hands Sora a small shovel. The shovel that Yuna forged. Sora takes it. She turns it over in her hands. She looks at the shortened handle, at the narrow grip under her palm. She is silent. Then she quietly asks why the handle is short. Marsh says it's because she's short, and a short one is more comfortable for her. Yuna made it to fit her. Sora looks at the shovel. For a long time. A very long time. Marsh doesn't understand why she's looking at it that way. It's just a shovel. But for Sora, it's the first thing in her life that someone made specifically for her. Not a weapon that was thrown at her. Not clothes she stole. A thing made for her. To her size. Sora silently takes the shovel and walks away. Marsh shrugs. He goes back to work. On the 21st day, Liara returns from her first outing. She went to Baron Hartwell's castle, a minor lord, territory west of the valley. He trades with the villages. Marsh sent her to check things out. Liara reports. Baron Hartwell is cowardly but greedy. He trades with 3 champions, sells grain and iron, buys protection. He doesn't care who wins. He wants to be on the winner's side. Right now he's betting on Zane, because Zane has the biggest army. But if anyone shows that Zane is vulnerable, the Baron will switch sides instantly. Marsh asks what else. Liara smiles. She says the Baron said something interesting. He heard from merchants that Chiron Wolfheart, after his shameful flight from the camp, Liara puts it exactly that way, a shameful flight, not a tactical retreat, the rumors are already spreading, swore to find the culprit and destroy him. He calls Marsh a worm and a burrower. He's looking for him. Marsh nods. As expected, a fanatic won't forgive humiliation. Chiron will return. The question is, when? Liara adds, there's something else. The Baron mentioned that a woman passed through his lands, quiet, in a cloak, alone, unarmed. But the guard who tried to stop her couldn't remember her face afterward. Morrigan Black Quell, an assassin, champion of the goddess of shadows. She walks, she watches, she gathers information, just like Marsh, only better. Marsh is silent. Morrigan. He rereads the scroll about her in his mind. Age unknown, appearance shifts, a single blade, absolute efficiency. Her god has ordered the anomaly eliminated. The anomaly is him, Marsh. She is looking for him, or has already found him and is watching. He looks around. The forest around Willowbrook. Dark, silent. She could be anywhere. Marsh returns to business. Panicking is useless. Morrigan will come when she decides to come. He can't control that. He can only control the preparations. In the evening, he gathers everyone. Evelyn, Sora, Hannah, Liara, Kada, Alden. They sit by the fire. Marsh spreads out a map. He says, it's time to take stock of the past 3 weeks. He shows them. Here's what they know. 8 champions, including him. Kieran in the southeast, looking for Marsh, angry. Zane in the east, building a fortress, 200 soldiers. Victor in the northeast, 35 dead, and the number is rising, heading toward Zane, the champion of thunder in the west. Wounded, his tax collector Brahm is working the villages, the champion of the sea and the champion of stone in the dead zone. Weakened. Morrigan is everywhere and nowhere. Marsh shows what they have. 4 friendly villages, a moat, guards, reconnaissance, hunting, drainage, the beginning of a network of informants. 1 blacksmith, 1 healer, 1 spy diplomat, 1 priestess, 1 scout, 1 ranger. Then he says what's missing. No weapons except knives and bows, no magic, no walls, no numbers, no time. Chiron is coming. It's a matter of weeks. Marsh asks if there are any questions. Liara says she has a question. What's the plan for Chiron? Marsh replies that there will be a plan once he knows exactly when and from where Chiron will come. It's too early. Sora says she has a question too. What if Morrigan comes? Marsh is silent. Then he says that Morrigan is a killer. She won't come with an army. She'll come alone, at night, with a single blade. Moats and guards won't help against that. Only one thing will help against that: staying awake. Marsh looks at Sora. He says that starting tomorrow, there will be a patrol in the village. 2 people, walking the perimeter, all night, not looking outward, inward, looking for whoever has already entered. Sora nods. The meeting is over. People disperse. Marsh stays by the fire, alone, stares at the embers, thinks of Morrigan, of Chiron, of Zane, of Victor. 4 threats, 1 shovel. He finishes his brew. He lies down. He doesn't fall asleep right away. Tyrus's voice is silent. The end of the 3rd week, the 22nd day. Marsh sits by the ditch and sharpens his knife. Slowly, rhythmically, a stone against the blade. The sound is soothing, a habit from a past life. When there's nothing to do with your hands, Sharpen a knife. A knife must always be sharp. Not because you're going to cut something, because a dull knife is a sign of disrespect for the tool. Bryn Ashford approaches him. He doesn't know she's Ashford. Not yet. He sees a girl of about 22, on horseback. A good horse. A mare. Well-groomed. An expensive saddle. Travel clothes, but of good. Riding boots. A sword at her belt. Not decorative. A working sword. The hilt is worn. A bow on her back. A hunting bow. Red hair. Short. Cut with a knife. Recently. A face covered in freckles. Green eyes. Angry. She rides up to the zigzagging entrance and stops. She looks at the moat. At the parapet. At the guard, Gareth, who is standing there looking at her. Then she dismounts. She leads the horse through the zigzag. Slowly. The horse resists. It's narrow. Bryn pulls on the reins. She comes out on the other side. She sees Marsh. She walks toward him. She stops 3 steps away. She says she needs to join the army. Marsh doesn't look up from his knife. He asks whose. She says his. Marsh looks up. He looks at her. 30 seconds. She doesn't look away. She stands straight, chin forward, hands at her sides. She tries to stand at attention. She doesn't know how, but she tries. Marsh asks who she is. Bryn Ashford, Lord Ashford's daughter, a minor lord, the southern marches. Marsh asks why she ran away. Bryn clenches her jaw. She says her father gambled her away to a neighboring lord, like a thing, like a horse. She isn't a thing. She left at night, took a sword, a bow, a horse, rode north for 3 days, heard a story at a roadside tavern about a man with a shovel who drove off a paladin's army. She arrived. Marsh nods, asks what she can do. Bryn lists them. Horseback riding, sword, bow, hunting. Mars asks if she knows how to dig. Bryn blinks. She says she's no peasant. Mars stands up. He sheathes his knife. He looks her in the eyes. He says he's no peasant either. The shovel isn't about social class. The shovel is about her not wanting to die. Tomorrow at 5 in the morning. She'll get the shovel from... Bryn blushes with anger. She opens her mouth. She closes it. She turns away. She walks back to her horse. Marsh returns to the knife. He continues sharpening it. Morning, 5 o'clock. Marsh stands by the ditch. It's dark. It's cold. Dew on the grass. He waits. 5 minutes. 10. She won't come. He's already decided she won't come. 15 minutes. Bryn emerges from the fog, without no bow, in a simple shirt, hair pulled back, angry face. But she has come. Marsh hands her a shovel, one of Uni's, the medium-sized one, suited to her height. Bryn takes it, holds it like a sword. Wrong. Marsh demonstrates. Left hand on the handle closer to the blade, right hand higher, loose grip. Don't clench it. A shovel isn't a weapon. A shovel is an extension of your arm. Bryn corrects her grip. Marsh shows her where to dig. The south side of the ditch, the last one. Bryn plunges the shovel into the ground. With fury. Too hard. The blade goes in deep. She can't pull it out. She jerks at it. She's angry. Marsh stands nearby. He waits. He doesn't help. Bryn yanks the shovel out. Dirt flies into her face. She stands there with a dirty face, shaking with rage. Marsh speaks calmly. It's not about strength, angle. The shovel enters at a 30-degree angle. Her foot presses down on the edge, not her hands. Her hands only guide. Her leg and back do the work. He demonstrates. A smooth motion. The shovel goes in. The earth comes out. It lands on the parapet, quietly, easily. Bryn watches. She tries. Better. Not good, but better. They dig, in silence. An hour. 2. Bryn is breathing heavily. His hands are shaking. His calluses have burst, blood on his palms. Marsh sees. He says that's enough for today. Bryn says no. She keeps digging. Marsh doesn't argue. By noon, Bryn collapses. She just sits down in the trench and can't get up. Her legs won't hold her. Her arms won't work. Marsh sits down beside her. He takes out a flask. He hands it to her. Bryn drinks. Marsh says she's dug 2 meters of the trench. That's not enough. Tomorrow, she'll make 3. The day after tomorrow, 4. In a week, 10. Because her body will get used to it. Her muscles will adapt. Her calluses will harden. And then she'll realize that a shovel isn't a punishment. It's a tool, like a sword, only more useful. Bryn looks at her hands, her bloody palms, then at the trench, at the 2 meters she's dug, then at Marsh. She asks quietly, "He started out that way too." Marsh says everyone starts that way. Bryn is silent. She stands up. She walks to Alden's house. Hannah bandages her hands. The next morning, Bryn arrives at 5, without being reminded. The 23rd day, the 24th. The moat closes in. A ring. Willowbrook inside a ring of moat and parapet, with a zigzagging entrance to the south. Marsh stands on the parapet and watches. Not a fortress, not even a fort, but an outline. The village has become something else, something with a boundary, with a shape, with sentries at the corners. Alden stands nearby. He looks. He quietly says that the village no longer looks like a village. Marsh says it isn't supposed to. It's a post now, a stronghold, a place on the map that serves a purpose. Alden asks, what purpose? Marsh says to live and not die. The 25th day, night. Marsh is on patrol. He walks along the inner perimeter, quietly, as usual. The moon is big tonight, pale. The light is strong. The shadows are sharp. He walks past Alden's house, past the well, past the drainage ditch. Everything is quiet. He stops. Something is wrong. He doesn't see what. He doesn't hear what. He senses it. 14 years in combat zones. His body knows before his mind does. The hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Marsh freezes. He stands still. He breathes. Slowly. His left hand drops toward his knife. His right hand rests on his shovel. He listens. Silence. But it's the wrong kind of silence. No crickets. They were there a minute ago. Someone scared them away. Close by. Very close. Marsh doesn't move. He speaks softly into the darkness. "I know you're here." Silence. Then a voice. A woman's. Soft, calm. From somewhere above. From the roof of Alden's house. The voice says he's interesting. Marsh doesn't look up. Doesn't look up. That's a rookie mistake. Showing you don't know where the enemy is. He speaks just as quietly. "Morrigan Blackwell." Silence. Then a quiet laugh. The voice says he knows her name. That's flattering. Marsh says he has a scroll with her file. Not flattery. Information. The voice is silent. Then it says her goddess ordered her to kill him, to eliminate the anomaly. Marsh nods. He asks why she hasn't killed him yet. She's on the roof. He's below, with his back turned, one blade between his shoulder blades, and the conversation is over. The voice says she's become curious. She's been watching him for 3 days. She's seen him digging ditches, how he bandages a girl's hands, how he teaches old men to stand guard, how he boils water, how he builds an outhouse. She's seen many champions. None of them built an outhouse. Marsh says an outhouse saves more lives than a sword, just slower. The voice is silent for a long time. Then it says she won't kill him. Today. But it warns him. Other champions aren't so patient. Kieran is gathering a new army. 120 men. He'll march in 2 weeks. The target is Willowbrook. Marsh listens. 120. It used to be 40. Now it's 120. Kieran isn't just coming back, he's coming back 3 times stronger. Marsh asks why Morrigan is telling him this. The voice replies that it's because she's bored. All these champions are predictable. Swords, magic, pathos. He's the only one who digs. She wants to see what happens next. Silence. Marsh stands still. The crickets start chirping again. Morrigan is gone. He didn't hear her leave, didn't see her. She just vanished. Marsh stands in the darkness. His heart beats steadily, pulse 72. He just spoke with a professional assassin who had lived in his village unnoticed for 3 days. And she said that Chiron is coming. 120 men. 2 weeks. Marsh goes to his pit, lies down. He doesn't sleep. He counts. 120 soldiers. He has 30 men. Of those, fighters. Him, Bryn, Cade, Sora. 4. Against 120. Open combat is impossible, so there won't be open combat. There will be preparation. 2 weeks, 14 days, starting tomorrow, morning of the 26th. Marsh gathers everyone, around the fire, a map on the ground, stones at the corners to keep it from curling up, faces all around. Evelyn, Sora, Hannah, Liara, Bryn, Cade, Alden. Marsh speaks plainly. Chiron Wolfheart is coming here. 120 soldiers, a 2-handed sword, an aura of flame, 2 weeks, silence. Bryn clenches her fists. Cade touches the bowstring. Alden turns pale. Evelyn looks at Marsh. She waits. Marsh says they can run. He's not holding anyone back. They can evacuate the village, lead the people into the forest, hide. Kieran will come and find empty houses. He'll burn them down. He'll leave. Then they can come back and rebuild. It's a reasonable option. No one will die. Alden shakes his head. He says that if they burn the houses, the village is finished. Winter is 4 months away. Without houses, they won't survive the winter. Marsh nods. So, the second option. Stand their ground. Alden asks how they're supposed to stand their ground. 30 men against 120. Marsh says it's not 30 against 120. The terrain against 120. A moat, a parapet, a zigzag. They'll defend themselves not by numbers but by position. 120 men in an open field are an army. 120 men in front of a moat and a parapet are a crowd that can't get through. He starts to explain. He points to the map. Chiron will come from the southeast, along the road, the most direct route. He won't go around. Fanatics don't go around. They go straight. The sun god doesn't hide. Neither does his champion. The map shows the terrain southeast of Willowbrook, a road through the field. Open, 2 kilometers, then hills, then forest. Chiron will emerge from the forest into the field, and he'll see the village, with a moat, with a parapet, with sentries. He won't stop. He'll keep going, because 120 against the village isn't an issue. For him. Marsh says he'll make sure it becomes an issue. He shows the plan. 14 days. Every day is laid out. Days 1 through 3. Decoys. Marsh will dig 3 decoy trenches east of the village, visible, with parapets, with stakes, empty. But from the outside, they'll look like defensive lines. Chiron will see them and send his men to storm them. Emptiness. Time. Each decoy position wastes half an hour for the attackers. 3 positions, an hour and a half. An hour and a half during which Chiron gets angry and loses his head. Days 4, 4th to 6th, the real position. Behind the false trenches, Marsh will reinforce the ditch. Deepen it, widen it. Add a second row of stakes to the parapet. Sharpened, dug in at an angle. They won't kill, but they'll slow them down. A man in armor won't climb over sharpened stakes quickly. Days 7 through 9, a flank trap. North of the village is a ravine, that very one, the one into which Marsh can lure the reserves. Marsh will tunnel under one slope of the ravine. The soil is already loose. The tunnel will make it unstable. A single blow or a loud stomp is enough for the slope to crumble. Whoever is below will be buried. Not to death, but it will take them a long time to climb out. Days 10 through 12. The stream. Marsh will divert the stream again, but not like the first time. This time he'll direct the water into the field in front of the village. He'll turn the dry field into mud. Deep mud. Sticky mud. 120 men in heavy armor in sticky mud aren't an army. They're a herd of cows stuck in the mud. Day 13. The stream. Again. Upstream, Marsh will build a dam. Logs, stones, earth. The dam will hold the water. A lot of water. When Chiron enters the field, Marsh will destroy the dam. Water will pour through the channel he digs in advance, straight across the field. Not a torrent, not a flood, just a lot of water on already soggy ground. The mud will become a swamp. Day 14. Rest. Check. Waiting. Marsh finishes his explanation. He looks at their faces. Alden is silent. Bryn grips her shovel. Cade nods slowly. Sora is already mapping out routes. Evelyn looks at Marsh, and in her eyes is what he saw in the young officers when the plan finally takes shape. Not hope. Not. Liara says one thing. It's madness. Then she adds that she's impressed. Marsh says it's not madness. It's field fortification. Older than gunpowder. Older than castles. People have been doing this since they learned to dig. They just forgot about it here for some reason. He stands up, takes a shovel, tells everyone to get to work. First. A long day. Decoy trenches. Marsh marks out the positions. 3 lines east of the village, each 100 meters from the previous one, each with a parapet and stakes. Everyone digs. Marsh, Bryn, Cade, 4 village men. Alden, with his bad back, who can't dig deep but can sharpen the stakes. Even Liara. She digs poorly, slowly, not the right hands, but she digs. Marsh didn't force her. She came on her own. In 3 days, the decoy positions are ready. From a distance, they look like full-fledged defensive lines. Up close, you can see they aren't deep. But Chiron won't be looking up close. He'll spot them from 500 meters away and send in assault teams. Day 4. Marsh is deepening the ditch around the village. It was knee-deep. It'll be waist-deep. Stakes are being driven into the parapet. Una sent 10 more logs and 20 iron spearheads for the stakes. Tobias came himself. He brought the spearheads and stayed. His hammer clangs at the makeshift forge. He's sharpening shovels, sharpening spearheads. Una stayed in Crosswind, to forge. Marsh doesn't want her here. If Chiron breaks through, Una must be safe. Tobias doesn't argue. The 6th day of preparation. The trench is deepened. The stakes are in place. Marsh checks each one, shakes them with his hand. Sturdy. Good. The 7th day. The ravine. Marsh and Cade are working together, undermining the northern slope. Quietly, carefully. They're removing the soil from beneath the roots, leaving a thin layer. From the outside, the slope looks normal, but one strong push and it will slide. Cade asks how Marsh knows these things. Marsh says it's called countermining. People did this 1,000 years ago. No magic, no prayers, with shovels and their wits. The 8th and 9th days. Marsh finishes work on the ravine and starts on the stream. This is the hardest part. The channel from the stream to the field. 200 meters, shallow but wide. The water must flow slowly, spread out, soak into the ground. Not a river, seepage. Everyone digs. By the evening of the 9th, the channel is ready. Marsh opens the sluice. The water flows, slowly, in a thin layer. The field begins to get wet. In 2 days, it will turn to mud. The 10th day. Marsh builds a dam upstream. Cade chops down trees. Bryn hauls stones. Alden and the men carry dirt. The dam grows. The water behind it rises, slowly. The 11th day. A runner from the southern village. Chiron has set out, ahead of schedule. Not in 2 weeks, in 10 days. Morrigan was wrong, or Chiron rushed it. 3 days. Marsh has 3 days, not 4. He doesn't panic. He adjusts the plan. On the 12th day, he skips rest. He works. Everyone works. The dam is almost ready. The field has already turned to mud. Mud up to the ankles. The decoys are in place. The ditch is deep. The stakes are sharp. The ravine has been undermined. The 13th day. Marsh walks the entire line of defense. He checks. The decoys. In place. The ditch. Deep. The stakes. Sharp. The ravine. Undermined. The field. Muddy. The dam. Full. He returns to the village, gathers people, says that Chiron will be here tomorrow, by noon, maybe sooner. Everyone knows what to do. Evelyn, in the basement with the children and the elderly. Hannah, the hospital. 3 beds, clean rags, boiled water, scissors, bandages, ready. Sora, in a tree to the southeast, on watch. As soon as she spots the column, she runs with a report. Cade, on the northern flank, by the ravine. His task is to lure the reserves into the ravine and bring down the slope, on command. Bryn, on the parapet, with a bow. She's a poor shot, Marsh knows. But she doesn't need to hit anything. She needs to shoot. The arrows slow them down, force them to duck, waste time. Liara, in the rear, preparing the evacuation. If the moat falls, everyone leaves through the northern forest. Sora mark the trail in advance. Tobias, at the dam. When Marsh gives the signal, Tobias breaks the dam. The water flows. Alden, inside the village, commanding the civilians. Everyone knows where to run if there's a breach. Marsh stands on the hill, looking southeast. The field before him is soggy. Behind the field are false positions. Behind them is the forest. Chiron will emerge from there, with golden armor and 120 men. Marsh takes out his compass. He clicks the lid open. The needle trembles. It points north, as always. He puts the compass away. He takes out his spyglass. Una forged it based on his description. Rough. The lenses are cloudy, but it doubles the magnification. That's enough. He raises it to his eye. The forest to the southeast. Quiet. Birds are singing. For now. Marsh sits down on the ground. He sets the shovel down beside him. He waits. No one sleeps at night. Marsh makes his rounds. He checks on the people. Gareth is on guard. He's awake. Will is at the second post. He's awake. Bryn sits by the ditch, sharpening arrows. Her hands don't shake anymore. The calluses have healed. New ones. Hard ones. She looks up when Marsh approaches. He says she needs to sleep. She says she can't. He sits down next to her. He's silent. Then he says, "It's always like this before a battle. You can't sleep. It feels like if you fall asleep, you'll miss it. But the body knows better. If you don't sleep tonight, your hands will tremble tomorrow and your eyes won't catch the target." He says, "Lie down. Close your eyes. Don't try to sleep. Just lie there. Your body will figure it out on its own." Bryn lies down. 10 minutes later, she falls asleep. Marsh gets up. He walks on. Hannah isn't sleeping. She's sitting in the hospital, sorting through rags. Her hands move automatically. Her eyes are empty. She's remembering. March sees her. He approaches. He speaks softly. "There will be wounded tomorrow. Maybe. She will treat them. She knows how. She is ready." Hannah looks at him. She nods. Her hands stop trembling. March leaves. He finds Sora. She is sitting in a tree by the south entrance. Her legs are dangling. She looks at the moon. Marsh says from below that she needs to sleep too. Sora says she sleeps with her eyes open, like an owl. Marsh says owls close one eye. Sora closes one eye. Marsh shakes his head. He leaves. Night. Silence. 2 moons. Somewhere beyond the forest, 120 people are marching toward his village. Their commander wears golden armor and has an aura of flame. Marsh has a ditch and mud. We'll see what's enough. Dawn of the 39th day. Marsh stands on a hill, a spyglass to his eye. Southeast, forest. Quiet. Birds are singing. He waits. An hour. 2. The sun rises. A warm morning, dew on the grass. Beautiful. Marsh doesn't notice the beauty. He looks at the line of trees. He waits for the moment when the birds fall silent. At 9 o'clock, the birds fall silent. The southern edge of the forest. Marsh sees movement, a glint. The sun reflects off metal. Armor. Many. The first ranks emerge from the forest, in formation, spears raised, shields held before them. Gray cloaks with a golden sun, beautiful, menacing. First row, second, third. Marsh counts. 10 in a row, 12 rows, 120. Exactly. Behind the formation, a horseman. 1. A white horse. Golden armor. A cloak like molten gold. A 2-handed sword at his back. Even from a kilometer away, you can see the glow around him. An aura. Chiron Wolfheart. He has arrived. The marshal lowers his horn, turns, whistles. A short whistle, a single tone. It means the enemy is approaching. Everyone to their posts. The village springs to life. Quiet. No shouting, no panic. They were prepared. They know where to go. Alden leads the children and the elderly into the basement of the house. Evelyn is with them. Hannah is at the hospital. Bryn is on the parapet. Bow in hand. Arrows in the ground nearby. 20 of them. Cade went to the ravine last night. He's lying there, waiting. Sora is in a tree, watching. Tobias is at the dam, rope in hand, a tug and the dam will collapse. Marsh is standing on the hill, watching. Kieran leads the army onto the field, and stops. He sees the decoy positions, 3 lines of trenches with stakes. He stands, watches, raises his hand. The army stands. March counts the seconds. Kieran thinks, 1 minute, 2. Then Kieran does what all fanatics do. He sends the first wave forward. 30 men break ranks. They run toward the first false position. They run beautifully, in unison, in step. They reach it. They jump over the ditch. The ditch is shallow. Stakes stick out, but there aren't many. The soldiers pass the first line. Empty. No one. The soldiers look around. The commander waves his hand. Kieran sends another 30 to the second line. They run. They pass through. Empty. The third line. Another 30. Empty. 90 men have passed through 3 positions and haven't encountered a single person. It took 40 minutes. Kieran is furious. March sees him yanking on the reins. The horse is bucking beneath him. He's shouting something. The army is regrouping. The whole thing. 120. They move forward, toward the village. And they come out onto the field. A wet, soggy, muddy field. The front row takes 10 steps. Their feet sink up to their ankles. 20 steps, up to their knees. Mud. Heavy. Sticky. The men in armor weigh 120 kilograms with their weapons. On solid ground, that's no problem. In the mud, it's an anchor. The formation breaks down. The soldiers can't keep in step. Someone stumbles. Someone falls. Gets up. Mud on their faces. Mud on their weapons. The room are slippery. The shields are heavy. The commanders are yelling. The formation turns into a crowd. The marshal watches. He counts. They lost formation at the 30-meter mark. An hour and a half to the false positions. Now the mud. The men will be exhausted before they reach the trench. Chiron rides ahead. His horse gets bogged down. The horse's slender legs sink into the mud up to its hocks. Chiron dismounts. He walks on foot, in golden armor, through the mud. Every step an effort. He walks, because he is the champion of the sun god, and he will not stop. Marsh respects this, does not approve, respects. 20 minutes later, the first soldiers reach the moat. The moat is deep, waist deep, wet, water at the bottom, stakes on the parapet, sharpened, iron spikes from Tobias. The soldiers stop. They look. The first one jumps into the moat, water up to his chest. He tries to climb out on the other side. Stakes. He grabs the parapet. A spike cuts his palm. Blood. He pulls his hand back. The second soldier looks for a way through. There is no way through. The moat is continuous. A whistle blows. 2 notes. Bryn. Bryn rises from behind the parapet. Bow. Arrow. Release. The arrow flies and sticks into the ground in front of the soldier in the moat. A miss. But the soldier flinches. Second arrow. Closer. A third. Into the shield. A hit. The soldier raises his shield. Now he can't see where to climb. Bryn doesn't shoot quickly, not accurately, but an arrow every 10 seconds, and every arrow means a soldier hiding behind his shield instead of climbing over the moat. March looks at his watch. There is no watch. He counts. Minutes. 5, 10. The soldiers crowd around the moat. They can't climb over. Wet, dirty, tired, angry. Chiron approaches. His aura flares. Golden light, heat. Even from 100 meters away, Marsh feels the warmth. Chiron raises his sword and strikes the stakes. The stakes fly apart. 1 strike. 10 stakes. The aura melts the iron tips. Marsh sees. Chiron will break through the barrier himself. 1 minute. Maybe 2. Marsh has been waiting for this. Chiron breaks through the trench. Golden light burns away the stakes in a 5-meter section. Soldiers scramble through the breach. They crowd together. They push against each other. It's narrow. 5 meters for 120 people. A traffic jam. Marsh whistles. 3 notes. Tobias. Tobias tugs on the rope. Up by the stream, the dam cracks. The logs part. Water flows. Not a wall of water, not a tsunami. A wide stream. Through the channel that Marsh dug for 3 days. Water pours onto the field. The already muddy field turns into a swamp. The soldiers who were standing by the ditch, waiting their turn, suddenly find themselves knee-deep in the current. Not strong, not deadly, but enough to knock a tired man in heavy armor off his feet. The formation collapses completely. Screams, curses, soldiers fall. They get up, they fall again. Those who have already crossed the ditch find themselves cut off from the main force. There are 20 or 30 of them. On the other side, wet, without formation, without commanders. The commanders are behind the ditch, in the mud. The whistle blows, a single tone, long. Sora. Sora jumps down from the tree. She runs along the parapet. She shouts what Marsh taught her to shout. Drop your weapons, face down on the ground. Whoever drops their weapon will be spared. Of the 30 who climbed over, 4 dropped their weapons immediately. They are no longer soldiers. They are wet, tired, frightened boys. 6 more drop theirs after Bryn drives an arrow into the ground at their commander's feet. The remaining 20 stand, swords raised, but uncertainly. Marsh comes down the hill. For the first time in the entire battle, he walks toward them, calmly. His hands are empty. The knife is in its sheath, a shovel on his back. He approaches within 10 paces. He speaks calmly. Look behind you. They look back. Beyond the ditch, chaos, mud, water. Their comrades are floundering. Chiron growls and tries to rally the ranks. He can't. The mud won't let him. Marsh says they have nowhere to go. The ditch is behind them. In front of them is a village. There are 20 of them. They're tired, wet. They have no commanders. He offers to let them lay down their weapons and sit down. They'll get water and food, not prison, tea and porridge. When the battle is over, they'll leave. Free. No ransom. Silence. One soldier lowers his sword. A second. A fifth. The 10th. A minute later, all 20 are sitting in the mud, unarmed. Sora collects the swords. Bryn keeps her bow trained on them, just in case. But it's not needed. They've surrendered. Marsh turns toward the moat. On the other side is Chiron. Dirty, wet, without a horse, without his ranks. His aura burns, but dimly. He's spent his strength on the stakes. 90 men surround him. Wet, angry, but not defeated. Not yet. Chiron looks at Marsh across the ditch. 100 meters. Their eyes meet. Chiron raises his sword, shouts a challenge to a duel, snarls that Marsh is a coward and a worm and unworthy of the title of champion. Marsh stands, listens. Then he turns and walks away. Just walks away. Doesn't answer. Doesn't accept the challenge. Doesn't hurl insults in return. Walks away. Chiron stands on the other side of the moat, knee-deep in mud, sword raised, shouting into the void. His soldiers watch. Some exchange glances. An hour later, Chiron leads his army away. Back across the field, through the mud, slowly, with difficulty. They're leaving. March stands on the hill and counts the departing soldiers. 120 came. 90 are leaving. 30 are prisoners. No, not prisoners. 30 are sitting in the village, drinking hot broth, and don't understand what's happening. No one is beating them. No one is tying them up. No one humiliates them. Hannah bandages their cuts. Alden brings out bread. Children peek out from the basement. Marsh goes down to the prisoners. He sits across from them. He tells them they're free. They can leave whenever they want. He'll take back their weapons in the morning. Not today. Let them sleep today. A young soldier about 18 looks at him. He asks, why? Why return the weapons? Why feed them? Why let them go? Marsh says it's because they're soldiers, not enemies. They were following orders. The order was bad. But they aren't to blame for their commander being an idiot. Silence. The young soldier looks at Marsh for a long time. Then he says quietly that his name is Alan, and that Chiron forced his village to go to war, took the men away from their families. Those who refused had their homes burned down. Marsh listens, nods, says that Alan can go back to Chiron, or not go back. It's his choice. No one forces anyone here. Evening. Mars sits alone on the hill. He watches the sunset. Casualties. 4 wounded, 2 with cuts from the fall. 1 dislocated his shoulder. Bryn scraped the skin off her fingers on the bowstring. Not a single casualty. Not one. Neither on his side nor theirs. He drove off 120 men without a single death. Through the moat and the mud and 3 empty ditches. Marsh sits and is silent. Then he speaks quietly into the air. Tiras. We defended the village. 0 casualties. A voice answers, immediately. Not from the depths, close by, warm. Tiras says he knows. He saw it. Marsh says that next time, Chiron will bring 300. And he'll be ready for the mud. Tiras is silent. Then he says that by next time, Marsh will be ready too. Marsh grunts. He says that for a god of war, ism is an occupational hazard. Tiras laughs, quietly. For the first time in a long while, the god of war laughs. The morning of the 40th day, Marsh sits by the fire and drinks the broth. His hands buzz with fatigue. 14 days of preparation and 1 day of battle have squeezed everything out of him. His thigh hurts more than usual. The shrapnel makes itself known in the dampness. And dampness is everywhere now. The field in front of the village is still wet. The ditch is full of water. The mud is drying slowly. His own work has become his own problem. Marsh finishes his herbal tea. He stands up. There is much to do. 30 prisoners were sleeping in the village. In the morning he went out to them. He laid out the weapons on the ground. Swords, spears, shields. He told them they were free. Take them and go. 22 men took the weapons and left, silently, without looking back. 8 remained. Young Alan was among them. Marsh asked why they stayed. Alan answered for all of them. They have nowhere to go. Chiron will burn their villages for desertion. There is no way back. Marsh looks at the 8, young, thin, frightened, but they stand. They didn't run away. He nods. He says that if they stay, they work. They don't fight, they work. They dig, they build, but they'll eat. Food like everyone else's, a portion like everyone else's. No privileges, no punishments. If they want to leave, they'll leave. The doors aren't locked. Alan nods. 8 of Chiron's former soldiers grab shovels. Marsh puts them to work restoring the moat. The moat has been damaged. Chiron breached a section with his aura. The stakes have been burned. The parapet is destroyed over 5 meters. It needs to be repaired, widened, deepened. Now he has people, 8 pairs of hands, plus the villagers. The work will go faster. Marsh stands on the hill and looks to the southeast. Chiron is gone, but he'll be back, for the 3rd time. When he returns, there will be 300, maybe more. Mud won't stop 300 people who know about mud. A different tactic is needed. Time is needed. And he needs to think bigger. On the 41st day, Marsh convenes a council. Now he calls it that. Council. Not a meeting, not a planning session. Council. Because he doesn't need executors. He needs minds. Evelyn. Maps and communications. Sora. Intelligence. Hannah. Medicine and supplies. Liara. Politics and diplomacy. Bryn. Defense. Cade. Hunting and gamekeeping. Alden. Civil administration. 7 people plus him. Marsh spreads out the map. He says the survival phase is over. They've survived. Now, phase 2. Expansion. He points to the map. 4 friendly villages. That's not enough. He needs all 12 that Evelyn mentioned, and the ones beyond them. He needs a network covering the entire northern half of the valley. Each village is a node. A node provides food, information, people, forges, trails. Every new node strengthens the entire network. Liara asks how he plans to convince the villages that don't want to join. Brahm is still collecting tribute in the name of the Champion of Thunder. 3 villages pay him out of fear. Marsh says he'll take care of Brahm. Liara raises an eyebrow. Marsh explains, the Champion of Thunder is wounded and far away. That's a fact. Brahm is intimidating people with a name that doesn't back him up. It's a bluff. Marsh knows how to play with bluffs. He's already done this with Zane's convoy and 8 non-existent archers. On the 43rd day, Marsh heads to Haven Rock, Broma's village. He takes Liara and Alan with him. Alan is dressed as a Chiron soldier, clean, ironed, with the sun's crest on the shoulder. That's important. Haven Rock is bigger than Willowbrook. 12 houses, 50 people. A market. Small. 3 stalls. Brahm meets them in the square. Old. Cunning. His eyes dart about. He looks at Alan in the Chiron uniform. He looks at Marsh. He looks at Liara and recognizes the court dress beneath the road dust. Liara speaks, beautifully, convincingly. She introduces Marsh as the commander who defeated Chiron Wolfheart. Twice. Without hesitation. She introduces Alan as the former captain of the Chiron who defected to Marsh voluntarily. Alan stands silently, doesn't nod, doesn't speak, just stands there, in uniform, with a sword. Looks convincing. Brom listens. His face is working. He's calculating, weighing his options. Marsh is watching. He sees the moment when Brom realizes that the champion of thunder is far away, and Marsh is close. Brom asks what Marsh wants. Liara answers. Marsh wants peace, trade, information. The villages that used to pay tribute to Brom no longer do. Brom loses nothing. Brom gains. Protection, just like Willowbrook has. A moat, a guard, warning of enemies, a hospital for the wounded. Brom thinks for a long time. Then he asks, what if the Thunder Champion returns? For the first time, Marsh speaks for himself. Quietly. He says that if the Thunder Champion returns, he will find not frightened villages, but fortified outposts, with moats, with guards, with people who know how to hold their ground, and with a man who has twice defeated the one the Champion of Thunder dared not touch. Brom is silent. Then he slowly nods. Marsh shakes his hand. Brom still doesn't understand the gesture, but he accepts it. On the way back, Liara says that Marsh could be a diplomat. Marsh says he couldn't. He hates politics, but he knows how to read people. Brom is a coward. A coward follows the strong. Right now, the strong one is Marsh. For now. Liara says that this is what politics is all about. Marsh snorts. Over the next 3 weeks, the world around Willow changes. The network grows. 8 villages, then 10, then 14. Each gets the same thing. A visit from Evelyn or Liara. An explanation. Protection in exchange for information and resources. Each village digs a ditch as best it can, sets up guards, boils water, builds an outhouse away from the well. Little things, simple things, but together they change lives. Children stop getting sick. Goats stop disappearing. For the first time, people sleep without flinching at every sound. The march goes through the villages. A different route every week. He checks. Not like a commander inspecting his subordinates. Not like a sergeant checking positions. Here the ditch is too shallow. Dig it deeper. Here the guard post is too far from the village. Move it. Here the water from the well smells bad. Check to see if waste has seeped into the ground. In every village, he sits down with the people. He listens. He asks what ails them, what they need, what they're afraid of. People speak up, because he listens. In this world, the lords don't listen to the peasants. They give orders. But this strange man in a dirty uniform sits on the ground and listens. And then he acts. He doesn't make promises. He acts. 2 months after his arrival. March stands on the hill above Willowbrook and looks out. The village has changed. The ditch is deep and well-maintained. A palisade with stakes. A zigzag at the entrance. Order inside. The drainage works. The outhouse functions. A smithy. Small. Tobias has set up a second anvil. Una comes twice a week. She brings shovels, axes, arrowheads, knives. Every item is personalized. Bryn's shovel, shorter than standard. The handle is wrapped in leather, to fit her grip. Sora's shovel, with a notch on the edge, for roots. Alden's shovel, with the Tyrus coat of arms on the handle. Marsh burned the coat of arms himself with a red-hot nail. A symbol. This village will not be touched again. Hannah's hospital. 4 beds, not 3. They added 1. Clean rags, tourniquets, ointments. Boiled water is always on hand. Hannah is teaching 2 village women. She demonstrates a tourniquet, a pressure bandage, cleaning wounds. They're learning. Marsh insisted that in every village in the network, there be at least 1 person trained in basic medicine. Hannah goes from village to village and teaches. She gets tired. She's losing weight. But her eyes are different. Not empty, alive. She's found a purpose. On the 62nd day, a delegation arrives from the village of Berezovi Kutur, saved by Marsh a month ago. He didn't save them from the army. He saved them from disease. He discovered their well was contaminated. He showed them how to dig a new one, higher up the slope, in clean soil. The children stopped getting sick within a week. Now they've come. The village elder, his name is Wayne. He bows. He holds out a bag. He says the village collected it. 10 gold coins, all they have. Thank you. Marsh takes the bag, opens it, looks at the gold coins, takes out 1 coin, puts it in his pocket. He returns the remaining 9 to Wayne, says he's paid for his work with water, food, and information. He took 1 coin because refusing would have been an insult. Let them take the rest to the school they're building. Pay the teacher on time. Wayne stands there, the bag in his hands. His lips tremble. He turns around. He walks away. Evelyn stands next to Marsh. She watches the village elder walk away, then at Marsh, then at the temple of Tiras. The roof is still leaking, but 6 candles are now burning in the temple instead of 3, and there are no longer 7 parishioners, 23. Evelyn understands. Her God is not a disgrace. Her God is this man with a shovel who takes 1 coin out of 10 and gives the rest to the school. And the whole world is beginning to understand this. The 3rd month. Night. Marsh is sleeping in a pit on the hill. Below lies the village. Guards are at their posts. A patrol is making its rounds. All is quiet. And on this quiet night, an 11-year-old girl saves the sergeant's life. Her name is Nora, Gareth's daughter. The very same old man who stood on the first watch. Nora isn't on guard duty. She's 11. But 3 weeks ago, Marsh gathered the village children and spoke with them. He crouched down. He looked each one in the eye. He said he had an important job for them. Not dangerous, not hard, but important. They are lookouts. During the day, when they're playing, they should keep an eye out. If they see a stranger, they should run to an adult. If they see someone walking too quietly, they should run to that person themselves. The children asked what too quiet. Marsh explained. A normal person rustles, shuffles, coughs, breathes, breaks twigs. If someone walks without making a single sound, that's not right. Normal people make noise. Quiet people are dangerous. Nora remembered. Nora isn't sleeping tonight because her tooth hurts. She sits by the window holding her cheek, and she sees a shadow. A shadow is moving through the village, from house to house, without a sound. Not a rustle, not a step, not a breath, as if the wind had become a person. Nora doesn't scream. She remembers what Marsh said. Run to him in person. She climbs out the back window. She runs barefoot across the ground, toward the hill. She climbs up. She finds Marsh's hole. She shakes him by the shoulder. Marsh wakes up instantly, his hand on the knife. He sees Nora. The girl whispers that there's a shadow in the village. Quiet, completely quiet. Marsh gets up, quickly, quietly. Tells Nora to lie here. Don't move. Don't peek out. She nods. Marsh goes down the hill, knife in his hand, shovel on his back. He enters the village through a zigzag path. Quiet. Guard U is on duty. He's awake. Marsh walks past him, signaling to be quiet. He walks between the houses. He listens. Crickets are chirping, steadily. No pause. So the shadow has left or frozen. Marsh checks house by house. 4th. 5th. A person is standing by the 5th house. A woman, a raincoat, hood, with her back to him. She's looking at the door of Alden's house. Marsh stops 3 meters away. He speaks quietly. 2nd visit. Not so flattering this time. Morrigan turns around, slowly. A face under the hood. Different. Not what he saw last time. He didn't see it last time either, but this is different. Young, pale, dark eyes. She says she didn't come to kill. Marsh says he knows. If she'd come to kill, he wouldn't be talking. Morrigan smirks, asks how he knew she was here. Marsh says an 11-year-old girl warned him. Morrigan is silent. Then she laughs quietly, says it's humiliating. An 11-year-old spotted her. Marsh says the girl was taught to notice silent people. Morrigan stops laughing. She looks at Marsh. For a long time. Then she says she came with information. Victor Morn has reached the pass. He's clashed with Zane. The battle has been going on for 2 days. Victor has 60 dead. Zane has 200 soldiers. So far, it's a stalemate. But Victor resurrects every fallen soldier on both sides. The longer the battle goes on, the stronger Victor becomes. Zane understands this and tries to end it quickly. He can't. The necromancer is slippery. Morrigan says that the winner of this battle will become the strongest in the valley and will come for the rest. March included. March listens. He asks why she's telling him this. Morrigan says she's already explained it. She's bored. Everyone is predictable. He isn't. She wants to see how he'll handle the winner. Mars is silent. Then he says he has a proposal. Morrigan listens. Mars says he won't try to kill her. He won't hunt her. He won't set traps. She goes wherever she wants. He won't interfere. In return, she won't kill anyone in his villages. No one. Not him, not his people. No children, no old people. And she continues to provide information. Morrigan asks what she gets in return. Marsh says she gets an opponent who interests her. As long as he's alive, she won't be bored. If she kills him, she'll get bored again. Simple math. Morrigan stands there. She thinks. Then she says he's the strangest champion she's ever met. He offers a truce to the professional assassin on the grounds that she'll be bored without him. Marsh says she works with what she has. Morrigan nods. She says she accepts. For now. She turns around. She leaves. Marsh doesn't try to follow her. It's useless. She vanishes between 2 breaths. Marsh returns to the hill. Nora is lying in the pit. She isn't asleep. She's waiting. Mars sits down next to her. He tells her she did a great job, that she did exactly what was needed, that thanks to her, he's alive. Nora looks at him. She asks who that was. Marsh says he's a very dangerous man, but not an enemy today, thanks to Nora. Nora smiles. For the first time tonight. Her tooth still hurts. In the morning, Marsh takes her to Hannah. Hannah examines the tooth. It's rotten. It needs to be pulled. She pulls it, with a clean instrument, heated over a fire. She rinses the wound with boiled water. Nora cries but endures it. Marsh stands nearby. He holds her hand. Then he brings her honey. He traded for it with a runner from the southern village for a coil of rope. Nora eats the honey and smiles, toothless. A crooked smile. Marsh smiles back. The next few days are hard. News from the northeast comes in fragments. The battle between Victor and Zane continues. 5 days. 7. 10. Runners bring rumors. The earth shakes. The sky turns black. The dead walk the fields. Zane's soldiers march faceless. Horror. Both sides are exhausted. On the 12th day of the battle, Marsh receives the final news. Zane has won. Victor is dead. But the cost is enormous. Of Zane's 200 soldiers, 80 remain. The fortress is half destroyed. Zane himself is wounded, not severely, but wounded. And he has absorbed Victor's power. His magic of order is now mixed with the magic of death. His soldiers have changed. They don't just feel no pain. They don't die from ordinary wounds. Zane has become stronger. Much stronger. Marsh marks a point on the map. Victor is crossed out. -1. 7 remain, counting Marsh. Chiron in the southeast. Zane in the east, weakened but reinforced. The champion of thunder in the west, the champion of the sea on the coast, the champion of stone in the mountains. Morrigan is everywhere. 6 opponents. And Zane is now the main threat. Not Chiron. Zane. Marsh folds the map. She stares at it for a long time. Then she calls Liara. She says it's time to pit Chiron against Zane. The 4th month. An operation Marsh calls to herself simply the Split. The idea is simple. Chiron is a fanatic who believes in a just war. Zane is a tyrant who enforces absolute order. They both believe they are right. They both consider the other an enemy by definition. The sun against order. Faith against control. They just need a reason. Marsh will give them a reason. Liara heads out into the field, her territory. She takes May and 2 former Chiron soldiers who decided to stay after learning that in Willowbrook they're fed hot meals and aren't beaten. They head southeast, toward the border of Chiron's territory. Liara changes into the clothes of a traveling merchant, expensive but dusty. She enters the villages in Chiron's territory. She talks to people, not soldiers, peasants, merchants, innkeepers. She tells stories, not about Marsh, about Zane, in whispers, in secret. She says that Zane has absorbed the necromancer's power, that his soldiers are now half dead, that he defiles the land wherever he treads, that he is preparing a campaign to the south, into Chiron's territory, that he considers the sun god weak, that he said at his court that Chiron is a coward who couldn't take a village with men. Liara adds that last part herself. The rumor spreads. Within a week, it reaches Chiron. At the same time, Marsh sends Cade east, to the border of Zane's territory. Cade doesn't enter the villages. He works more subtly. He leaves traces, false ones, traces of a Chiron patrol on Zane's territory, horseshoes, a campfire, an abandoned cloak bearing the sun's crest. Trifles, but trifles that Zane's intelligence will find and report. Chiron is invading Zane's territory, or so Zane will think. 2 weeks pass. Marsh waits. He digs, expands the fortifications, trains people. New people are flocking to Willowbrook, deserters, refugees, artisans. By the 4th month, he has 50 people in the village itself and about 300 across the network of villages. Una now works with 3 apprentices. The smithy in Crosswind has grown. Shovels, axes, knives, arrowheads, crossbow bolts. Marsh explained the principle of the crossbow to her. Una listened. She studied the leather sketch. A week later, she brought a prototype. Rough, heavy, but functional. The bolt pierced a plank 30 meters away. Marsh asked her to refine it. Lighter, faster reloading. Una nodded and went back to the smithy. Marsh stood and watched her go. 17 years old. A genius. If given a year, she would make things this world never dreamed of. If given 2, she would revolutionize the craft. News arrives in the 5th month. A runner from a distant village. Chiron attacked Zane's outpost. The battle was brief. Chiron burned the outpost with his aura. Zane responded. He sent 60 soldiers to the southern border. A clash. Chiron lost 30 men. Zane lost 20. Both retreated. But they did not make peace. Chiron believes that Zane has desecrated the Holy Land with death magic. Zane believes that Chiron invaded his territory. They hate each other, and they will fight. March stands over the map and moves the pieces. Chiron, Zane, a clash. While they're cutting each other down, he has time. Time to grow the network. Time to teach people. Time to forge shovels. Other tasks are being resolved along the way. The stone champion is dead. The sea champion ambushed and killed him on the coast. 1 down. 6 left. The thunder champion is still wounded. He's in hiding. His gatherers scattered after Brahm defected to the marsh. The champion of thunder is losing support. He's starving. He's growing weak. He's no longer a threat. Morrigan. Silence. She comes once every 3 or 4 weeks, at night. She brings information. She leaves. Their conversations are getting longer. She asks why he boils water. He explains about microorganisms. She doesn't believe him, but she listens. She asks why he digs ditches. He explains about drainage. She nods. Not because she understands, because she sees the result. The children aren't getting sick. That's enough. She asks why he's building outhouses. Marsh explains. Morrigan is silent. Then she says that in the 6 battles she remembers, 6. She's old, much older than she looks. Not a single champion built outhouses, swords, fortresses, a throne. Outhouses, never. Marsh says that's the problem. Marsh feeds her when she comes, not because she's hungry, because food is a language of trust. He pours her some broth, gives her bread, sits beside her, doesn't try to find out her real name, doesn't try to learn about her past, just feeds her and talks. After 2 visits, Morrigan starts taking off her hood. The face underneath doesn't change every time. She's chosen one, her real one, or the one she considers real. Narrow, pale, a scar from her chin to her ear, on the right side, an old one. Marsh doesn't ask where the scar came from. Morrigan remains silent. After 3 visits, she says herself that her goddess no longer demands his death. Too interesting an experiment. The 6th month. Kieran and Zane are at war. 3 major clashes. Both lose men. Kieran has about 200 left. Zane has 60, but each is worth 3. The magic of death is within them. They do not die from ordinary wounds. They must be hacked to pieces to be stopped. Kieran breaks first. Not militarily, psychologically. His paladins, his righteous warriors, his holy knights are dying by the dozen, yet the enemy does not fall. Kieran begins to doubt. For the first time in his life, his god is silent. The sun god offers no help. Kieran stands alone with his faith against an enemy whom faith cannot touch. At the end of the 6th month, Kieran sets out for Willowbrook, alone, without an army, without a horse, on foot, dirty, thin. His armor is dented, his cloak is torn, his sword is on his back. He approaches the zigzag. The sentry sees him, runs to Marsh. Marsh comes out to the gate, stands, watches. Kieran stands on the other side of the moat, alone, 28 years old. Golden hair is dirty, blue eyes are empty. He is silent. Marsh is silent. Then Marsh says, "Come in." Kieran enters. Through the zigzag, slowly. Marsh leads him to the fire, sits him down, pours some broth, hot, hands him the mug. Kieran takes it. His hands are shaking. He drinks. Marsh sits down across from him, waits. Kieran speaks first, says that Zane is a monster. His soldiers aren't human. They don't die. He cuts them down and they get back up. This isn't a war, it's a nightmare. His men are fleeing. His god is silent. He has lost. Marsh listens, doesn't interrupt. When Kieran falls silent, Marsh asks one thing, what he wants. Kieran is silent for a long time. Then he says quietly that he wants his men not to die. Marsh nods. He says he understands. He asks if Kieran is ready to accept help from the digger. Kieran flinches. The word, digger. He himself used to call Marsh that, with contempt. Now the word sounds different. Kieran looks at Marsh, at his dirty uniform, at the calluses, at the shovel on his back, at the village around them, at the moat, at the guards, at the children playing safely, at the hospital, at the steaming cauldron of broth. Kieran lowers his head, speaks softly, ready. Marsh extends his hand. Kieran shakes it. The 7th month. Kieran in Willowbrook. It's strange for everyone. For the villagers who remember how his army came to kill them. For Bryn, who looks at the paladin with hatred. For Alan, whom Chiron took from his home by force. Marsh sees the tension, resolves it directly, gathers everyone, says that Chiron is not here as a guest, not a prisoner, an ally, a temporary one. They have a common enemy, Zane. Chiron has made mistakes, big ones. He burned villages. He took people. Marsh doesn't excuse this. But war demands allies, not ideals. Whoever can't work alongside Chiron, let them speak up. Marsh will find a solution. No one speaks. But Bryn stands with her arms crossed, drilling Chiron with her eyes. Marsh notices. Later. He'll deal with it later. Business comes first. Chiron didn't come alone. 3 days later, his men arrive at Willowbrook. 150 men, the remnants of the army, exhausted, hungry, wounded. Hannah meets them at the entrance. Within a week, the hospital expands to 20 beds. Hannah doesn't sleep. She works. She boils water. She ties bandages. She cleans wounds. She trains 2 assistants from among Kieran's soldiers who know at least a little something. Marsh puts Kieran's soldiers to work. Not to war, to work. To dig, to build, to expand the fortifications. Kieran watches as his knights take up shovels. His expression is complex. Marsh approaches, speaks softly. Your men are tired of killing. Let them build. It heals. Chiron is silent, then he nods. Within a month, Willowbrook is transformed into something never seen before. A palisade, a double moat, watchtowers, barracks. Tobias's smithy has grown into a workshop. Una works non-stop. Crossbows, 2nd generation. Lighter, more accurate. The bolt pierces chainmail at 40 meters. 50 crossbows for 50 trained archers. Hannah's hospital with 30 beds. A school. A real one. Marsh insisted. Evelyn teaches the classes. Reading, writing, arithmetic, basics of hygiene. 20 children, learning for the first time in their lives. The drainage system has been expanded to cover the entire settlement, because it's no longer a village. It's a settlement. A small town. Marsh stands on a tower and watches. People below, lots of them. 200 in the settlement. 500 across the entire network. 1,000 if you count all the villages. They dig, they build, they learn, they heal, they cook, they feed, they live. For the first time in a long time, they are living, not just surviving. Marsh's inner conflict is growing. He sees how they look at him, like a demigod. Alden bows when he passes. The men fall silent when he speaks. The children run to him. Chiron's soldiers call him commander, even though he forbade it. Evelyn prays for him in the temple. Sora carries out every order without question. Bryn stands when he enters. This frightens him more than the 6 champions. He tells this to Evelyn. At night. They sit on a hill. Stars. 2 moons. He says he is not the chosen one. He's a guy with a shovel. If he says something stupid, let her tell him. If he makes a bad decision, let her stop him. He can't be the one no one yells at. A commander whom people are afraid to criticize is a commander who will kill his own men through stupidity. Evelyn listens. Then she says quietly that she'll try. March says she won't try. She will. That's an order. The only one he gives her. To tell him the truth. Always. Evelyn nods. The 8th month. Zane is gathering his forces. His army is recovering. 60 half-dead soldiers plus new recruits. He's conscripting by force, taking men from the villages. Those who refuse are killed and raised. A dead soldier is more obedient than a living one. By the 8th month, Zane has 120 fighters. 40 of them are dead. Literally. Walking corpses with swords. The fortress is restored, reinforced. Zane knows about Marsh. Knows about the network of villages. Knows about Chiron in Willowbrook. And he is preparing. By the 9th month, the champion of the sea kills the champion of thunder. The latter never recovered from his wounds. He died in his camp. quietly, without a fight. The champion of them takes his territory. 5 remain: Marsh, Chiron, Zane, the sea champion, Morrigan. The 10th month. Marsh receives a nightly report from Morrigan. The sea champion and Zane have formed an alliance. This is bad. Very bad. The sea champion controls the west coast. Zane controls the east. Together, they have Marsh surrounded on 2 sides. Mars stands over the map. Tiles. 2 against 2. Zane and the sea against Mars and Chiron. Morrigan stands aside. Neutral. For now. Mars thinks for 3 days. Then he convenes a council. An expanded one. Evelyn, Sora, Hannah, Liara, Bryn, Cade, Alden, Chiron, Tobias. Una, who was brought in specially. She says Phase 2 is over. The expansion is over. Now it's Phase 3. War. He won't be the one to start it. Zane will start it. In a month, maybe 2. But he will start it. And he won't come with just 120. He'll come with everything he has. The dead and the living. The magic of order and the magic of death. We need to be ready for this. Marsh lays out the plan. They won't wait for Zane and Willowbrook. They'll meet him on the way, on the territory that Marsh has chosen and prepared. He points to the spot on the map. Wolf's Maw. A narrow passage between 2 hills. The only convenient route from the east to the northern villages. Zane will go through it, because going around through the mountains will take a week, and through the swamp to the south, a month. The gorge. Narrow, steep slopes. Marsh will turn it into a trap. But that takes time, and people, and shovels. Una nods. She's already calculating in her head how much steel is needed. Tobias is calculating how much coal. Cade is calculating how much game to feed the work crews. Hannah is counting bandages. Liara is counting the allies we can recruit. Sora already knows every rock in the gorge. Bryn wants to be on the front lines. Chiron stares silently at the map. Then he says he'll stand in the gorge himself, with a sword, first. His aura against Zane's undead. The sun burns the undead. This is his battle, his redemption. March looks at Chiron, nods, says, "Fine, you're in the vanguard, but not alone. You have 50 crossbowmen with you, and a moat in front of you, and stakes, and traps. You won't be standing in an open field. You'll be standing behind fortifications, like a soldier, not a hero." Chiron wants to object. A knight doesn't hide behind a moat. Marsh speaks quietly. A knight who hides behind a moat lives. A knight who stands in the open field dies. Choose. Chiron closes his mouth, nods. Year 1. Autumn. The Battle of Wolf's Maw. Marsh has been preparing for 2 months. The gorge has been dug out. 3 lines of defense. Not decoys. The real thing. A moat, a palisade, earthworks, crossbow positions on the slopes, traps, pits, stakes, undermined slopes. Everything he knows how to do. Everything he has learned in 14 years. 200 men under his command, 50 crossbowmen, 100 spearmen, former peasants. Trained. Not perfectly, but trained to hold their formation behind the moat and not run. Chiron in front, aura burning, 2-handed sword. He is no longer a pure paladin. He is a dirty, weary knight who has learned to stand behind the moat. A march on the hill, a spyglass, a map, a journal. Evelyn next to the map, Sora in a tree, Hannah in the hospital behind the line, Bryn on the left flank with 20 crossbowmen, Liara in the rear. Evacuation if everything falls apart. Tobias in the smithy, Una nearby, fixing what's broken. Something's always breaking. Zane arrives at dawn. 120. 40 of them are dead. Up ahead, eyes empty, swords in hand. Behind them, the living. In formation. Perfect formation. Identical stride. Zane behind, on a black horse, face like a mask, white eyes. The battle lasts a full day, a full day. The dead roll in waves. The front line holds for 4 hours. The moat. Stakes, crossbow bolts. The dead fall, rise, fall, rise. Bolts pierce their bodies, but the bodies do not stop. Chiron steps forward. An aura flares. Solar fire. The dead burn. Finally, they burn. Chiron slashes and burns. 7 in the first hour. But she tires. The aura fades. The bugle sounds. Retreat to the second line. Organized, not a rout, a retreat. Men flow across the second moat. The dead climb over the first, slowly. The stakes hinder them. The second line. Fresh crossbowmen. Bryn commands the flank. He shouts commands. Bolts fly. Zane's living soldiers fall. They're the ones dying. Of the 80 living, 50 remain after 6 hours. But the dead keep coming. Night. The battle doesn't stop. The dead don't need light. The marchers light fires along the line. Light. Shadows. Crossbowmen shoot at the silhouettes. Chiron rests. An hour. He eats. He drinks. Hannah bandages his arm. A cut. Deep. He didn't notice it in the battle. Hannah applies a tourniquet. A tight bandage. She washes it. Chiron looks at her. He speaks softly. Thank you. The first thank you he's ever said to a peasant woman in his life. Dawn. The second day. 12 dead remain. Zane has 30 living men. They still feel no pain, but they are tired. Even the magic of order cannot completely negate physical fatigue. March sees his moment. He whistles. 4 notes. Everyone forward. Chiron rises. His aura flares brighter than ever. He heads into the gorge. 50 crossbowmen take their positions on the parapet. 100 spearmen fall into formation. For the first time in the entire battle, Marsh's men are moving forward. Not backward. Forward. Zane sees this. His mask face changes for the first time. He did not expect an attack. He expected a retreat. He doesn't know what to do with an enemy that's counterattacking from fortifications. A clash in the gorge. 30 minutes. The spearmen hold their formation. The crossbowmen fire over their heads. Chiron is at the front like a flaming battering ram. Zane's soldiers are breaking. Not physically, morally. The living are breaking. The dead are not. But there are few dead left. Zane retreats. For the first time. He leads the remnants away. 20 alive, 5 dead. He heads east. Marsh does not pursue. His men are tired. Casualties. 14 wounded, 2 killed. Marsh knows their names. Private Eric, 23 years old. A spearman. A former shepherd from Oak Hollow. A dead man sliced open his chest. He died instantly. Farmer Dalton, 39 years old. A volunteer from Birch Farm. He came because Marsh had repaired their well. An arrow in the neck. Marsh goes to bury them himself. He digs the graves himself. With a shovel. On the hill above the ravine. 2 crosses, simple, no coats of arms. Wooden crosses and names carved with a knife. Eric. Dalton. The village is silent. People stand around. Chiron stands there, without armor, head bowed. Evelyn approaches Marsh, hands him a mug of tea. Real tea. Liara found it somewhere. Marsh takes the mug, sits down on the ground by the graves, looks at the sunrise, speaks quietly. 2. I'm sorry, guys. Next time we'll dig in deeper. Evelyn sits down next to him, takes his hand. He doesn't pull away, sits, drinks tea. The sun rises over the gorge where, for the first time, peasants with shovels stopped the army. Year 2. Winter. Marsh sits in headquarters. Headquarters is Alden's former house, rebuilt and expanded. A table with a map. Chairs. A stove. Warmth. Snow outside the window. The first snow in this world that Marsh has seen. White, quiet, beautiful. Marsh isn't looking at the snow. He's looking at the map. There are 5 stones on it, 5 champions. Him, Chiron, Zane, the champion of the sea. Morrigan. Of these, Chiron is his ally. Morrigan is neutral. Zane and the champion of the sea are allies, 2 against 2. Morrigan is a wild card. Marsh knows the end is near. A year and 2 months in this world.